Nation.
I heard that's fine.
Not that Crack Nation. No, the Hells Angels version.
I was gonna say, isn't that where Obama lives?
I don't even know anymore. I'm pretty sure I'm there right now.
All right, so we're gonna be going through this thread, which I'm going to look at right now.
Hold on. Wait.
Actually, I think what we'll do is we'll go through the
Let's take it hardcore.
Hi, Mr. Philby.
We have breaking news from AOL.
Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
I heard him for a minute. There you are.
I can hear him.
Somebody, you gotta love it, man. Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you now.
We have breaking news from
AOL. Oh, good.
AOL News, which
straight out of Tennessee in Japan.
It means it's probably 4 days old. That Cracker Barrel is returning to its former logo.
Let's fucking go.
That's because President Trump said, "Why don't you just admit you made a mistake and change it back?"
Let's fucking go. Let's go. Yeah, what? We ain't no DES motherfucking acronym type hire bullshit. We out here for the man. I've been out here, man. I ain't fucking tired of bullshit.
Due to pressure from President Trump supporters.
That's how you get things done. That's what we need to do. We need to friggin' just when we mobilize and when we get on something, we can change directions. I think that that's the important thing here. Speaking of, our Senate definitely needs some attention. What they're doing right now by having this pro forma where they gavel in every 3 days so that they're not on break, so that Trump can't get all of his nominees in. Do you think that they're going to come back and get it done, or you think they're just going to string him along for the rest of the year?
Repeal the 17th Amendment. That's all I got to say.
I'm down for that.
Bingo. Repeal this, but which, by the way, was ratified the same year the 16th Amendment was ratified, 1913, which was also the same year you got the Federal Reserve.
Oh, do you see that lady's not leaving? She refuses to leave.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. That's ridiculous and should be illegal.
Yeah. Well, especially because he federalized DC, so he's top dog there.
So he could have her arrested for trespassing, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, do we really would need to take it to that level? I mean, I don't mind. I loved it when he carried out that thong lady.
Yeah, hopefully we won't have to, right? I'd hate to see it come to that for sure. But yeah.
All right, so guys, repost the space. We're gonna get started here in a minute. This is a pretty long document. I don't know how far I'll get through it. The preface is already gonna be triggering, so guys, buckle up and get ready.
Hey, Cam.
Yeah.
So which one are you reading off of? Because Millie had a thread.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do is I want to read the actual Substack document.
Okay.
And then we can go, we can pop over to the thread, because the thread has more of the people who were involved and that kind of stuff. And
that's true, in a buttload of videos too. So you're going to read through the count document, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we could switch over to the videos, when we want to.
Okay. I'll get the up in the nest. I'll get the PDF post I did of the count, so we have that up there.
Perfect. So yeah, this document sort of from what I understand was, what they used and what was sort of the end results of the Sunrise Zoom calls and the Feds for Democracy and the Transition Integrity Project. And I mean, all of them kind of got together and put all their little good ideas right on one piece of paper and for us all to read and enjoy.
Wait, can you say the names of those players again?
The Transition Integrity Project, the Feds for America, or Feds for Democracy, and Sunrise Movement. So, so the preface of this, so this was last updated October 14th of 2020. And it says, quote, "Get rid of the ballots and you'll have a very peaceful, there won't be a transfer, frankly, there will be a continuation." This is Donald Trump, September 23rd, 2020. Rule number 1, believe the autocrat. Masha Gessen, Autocracy Rules for Survival Introduction, written October 11th, 2020. We are days away from the most important election of our lifetimes. If anyone is able to vote and every vote is counted, Donald Trump will lose this election. But if Joe Biden doesn't win in a landslide, a narrow margin of victory may not be sufficient to ensure that Biden is sworn in as our next president. We believe that in a close election, Trump is likely to try to overturn the results of the election by disrupting the normally perfunctory process of casting and counting electoral college votes. If that happens, we will be in dangerous and uncharted waters. Many people are skeptical that it will come to this. They argue that Trump will try to save face by claiming the election was rigged against him, but won't try to hang on to power after losing an election. After all, there's no precedent for a president attempting to seize power in spite of losing an election. In the United States, none of our elections have been fully free or free and fair. Many people have and continue to be denied full voting rights. But after every presidential election in our history, a loser has conceded to a winner and worked to accomplish a peaceful transition of power. Further, the skeptics argue Trump can't steal the election by himself. He'll need lots of Republican accomplices and a few Democratic appeasers in swing states and Congress. As public concern about the possibility of a disputed election has grown, many of those Republicans have been unequivocal in promising to respect the results of the election and to ensure a peaceful transfer of power. That was the preface. So, page 1. We hope they will, and we hope that whoever the winner is, the 2020 election ends with both candidates accepting the results of the election. But we aren't optimistic. Over the last 4 years, whatever anti-Trump opposition exists in the Republican Party before the 2016 election has collapsed. Republicans at all levels of government have defended Trump and loyally advanced his agenda. In fact, they seem to fear his base. I mean, they're supposed to advance his agenda when he's the president. You're supposed to serve at the pleasure of the president. That's how it works. As for Trump, it's clear that he's willing to do anything to win. The premise of this guide is that we should take Donald Trump's threat that he won't accept the results of the election at face value and prepare for a protracted conflict after Election Day. This is a guide to the constitutional crisis we'll face if Trump follows through on his threats and Republicans back him, and a strategy for how ordinary people and Democratic elected officials can stop an attempted coup. We would like to believe that if Trump and the Republicans attempt to overturn the results of the election, the law and shared political norms will be enough to stop him, but it would be dangerous to believe such a thing. Our systems run on mutual good faith, on the shared commitment of leaders in both parties to prioritize national unity over partisan goals. Trump's presidency has shown that political norms and even the laws themselves are only as durable as those elected to uphold them. Trump has open contempt for democracy, and so far, our laws and norms haven't restrained him. If the results of this election are contested, it won't be a legal battle that determines the outcome. It will be a contest of political willpower. Political willpower. What's going on with these words here? Okay, so political willpower and pleading with courts and Republican officials to do the right thing is akin to continuing to play a board game that opposition has set on fire. We aren't confident that Democratic officials at any level of government, from Joe Biden and the DNC to local election administrators are prepared for this kind of conflict. In 2000, the last time the country had a contested presidential election, Democrats put their faith in the courts while Republicans fought a dirty war to prevent Democratic voters' ballots from being counted. The result was 8 years of George W. in the White House. This time, Democrats need to be prepared to play hardball. If Trump tries to overturn the results of the election, 2020 will no longer be an election between two candidates. It will be an all-out war between the American people and the would-be autocrat seeking to destroy our country. Democrats must be prepared to use all the legal tools at their disposal to ensure that the election results reflect the will of the people. We want to be very clear. The nightmare scenario we described below isn't inevitable. If there's one thing that we've learned in the last 4 years, it's that none of us has a crystal ball. Our claim isn't that the Republicans will inevitably try to overturn the results of the election, only that it's possible that they will, and that if they do, we have to be ready. The thought of a disputed election is disturbing, even terrifying. It should be, but we want to be clear. Don't despair. We have the power to stop Trump from stealing the election. We can win this fight. Trump's most dangerous weapon is paralysis induced by shock and chaos. The purpose of this guide is to help our readers, from ordinary people to Democratic Party officials at every level, prepare psychologically and materially for a high-stakes battle to defend our constitutional government. To save our country in a crisis, we will need to act quickly and decisively. And to do that, we need to have a clear understanding of Trump's strategy and what we can do to counter it. If millions of ordinary people organize their communities, protest at an unprecedented scale, and execute a targeted strategy to win, and if Democrats in swing states and Congress take determined action, we will thwart Trump's autocratic ambitions. As concerned as we are about the odds of the crisis described below, we are just as certain that a supermajority of Americans will fight to defend the Constitution and win in solidarity. That's Zach Malitz, Brandon Evans, and Becky Bond. All right. So before we go on to page 3, what's your sentiment there, Matt?
Oh, sorry guys, I was on another app. Yeah, that's one thing when it comes to they laid out exactly what they were going to do. They had a plan to execute it, and they did it, and they got away with it. They got away with it, and heading into this past election, I thought they were going to do it again, and they did. They just did it down ballot. Like, now they didn't execute the same specific playbook, but they had a playbook nonetheless. I think, because they didn't steal it at the top. I bet you if we were to do some digging, I bet we would find they stole it down ballot. So these guys I bet you, if even if it's not the same people, it's still these same institutions with the same function, are still in operation. They're still in place, and they have to be stopped.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I did hop over to Millie's thread just to kind of, because there's just a lot of information, but I did want to kind of bounce back and forth a little bit. What her thread kind of starts with is introducing the different players that are involved in this, right? So you've got Shut Down DC, Black Lives Matter, the Sunrise Movement, federal workers, government contractors, all participating in a planned coup against President Trump, regardless of the outcome of the 2020 election. From prominent Democrats to street action organizers, they are coordinating a massive uprising ranging from peaceful protesters to rioters and agitators. Who's involved and and to what extent is their plan? We don't know, but we do know that our insiders inside the Sunrise Movement and other radical organizations have been able to give us recordings of Zoom chat meetings involving Shut Down DC. They reveal a massive and ambitious plan to take over the White House, Washington, D.C. in general, and shutting down Congress. In one meeting, they discussed training for high-risk actions. In another meeting, they scheduled their uprising from election night through inauguration. Then, in another meeting, they organized with federal employees, many of whom work in security and intelligence. The caliber of leadership, organization, tactical operation capabilities, and military intelligence experts all working together with street activists reveal this operation has the ingredients to overthrow an elected government and install a political puppet. And that's exactly what they did. So, all right, let me go back to the count. No. All right. Sorry, I'm going.
Do you see my hand or no?
Oh, nope, I don't. I'm sorry. I got no hands. So jump in. At least that was how ornery you were going to get with me.
Thing was a lie.
Yeah.
Because you can't take GPS and depend on it to get you someplace,
Right.
because it will leave you stranded out in the middle of Minneapolis when you're going to Green Bay, because see, GPS is not good enough.
Right. So what
But
was the deal with that? They said that you couldn't use the geofencing or whatever.
they said that the GPS was not accurate enough to create the mapping that they were doing.
Right. But it's good
So
enough to like tell who's always in the
so
capital.
if you're at an intersection and you've got your GPS up on your phone, where does that little blue dot show you?
At the intersection, and it shows me there's a Burger King and a CVS and a whatever gas station. Take your pick.
And how close are you away from the middle of the intersection?
I mean, I'm right there. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So and that GPS was good enough for them to use to geofence the entire city of Washington and to identify the people who were carrying cell phones in the city of Washington, and then to issue arrest warrants for those people that went inside the Capitol, and to do that within 2 weeks for January the 6th. It was accurate enough for that.
Oh, sorry. I was on mute. I was sitting there talking. I was like agreeing with you. No, it's totally, completely. I mean, again, they've got a certain set of rules that they get to follow, and then we get all the,
But it's not accurate, and it's not accurate enough for the private sector to use, because only law enforcement GPS is really accurate, because they they pay Google extra.
So the three people, I guess, that wrote this document, I haven't really ever heard of them before. I must have missed this part where they talked about them. You got Zach Mallitz, has helped lead advocacy and candidate campaigns for climate justice, civil liberties, and racial justice for the last 10 years. He's a partner at the Social Practice, a co-founder of the Real Justice PAC. In 2018, he ran Beto O'Rourke's record-breaking statewide organizing effort and previously worked as the deputy distributed organizing director for Bernie in 2016. Brandon Evans advises elected prosecutors across the country who are trying to reform the criminal legal system as the national political director of Real Justice PAC. Previously, Brandon managed campaigns for Philadelphia mayor. Why are campaign people getting involved in our criminal system, our justice system?
There's lots of potential answers to that question, and they're all bad.
You because you have district attorneys that are elected,
and some judges, right?
A lot of judges.
Yeah. All right. So previously, Brandon managed campaigns for Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney and Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner, and was the director of Working Families Party Pennsylvania. I do want to show you guys play a video for you in a minute from the older millennial he put out today. It was freaking awesome, and he just ripped up Ed Krasenstein one side and down the other. Becky Bond is a veteran of political campaigns and the co-author of Rules for Revolutionaries, How Big Organizing Changes Everything. About her experiences on Bernie Sanders' 2016 presidential campaign. She is the executive director of Real Justice PAC and a partner at Social Practice. So we got two organizations here, right? You got Real Justice PAC and the Social Practice. So what's in this document? Who we are, key dates. Then you've got the first part is understanding the system, how the United States actually elects presidents. And this goes through the whole electoral college. So we're going to get to learn about the electoral college from the enemy. See, we're still doing civics. Number 2 is understanding the threat, how Trump could disrupt the election. Number 3 is conclusion, defending democracy. So key dates, November 3rd was election day. December 8th, the safe harbor deadline. States must resolve disputes over which ballots to count and report final vote totals to risk their electoral college votes not being counted by Congress. December 14th, the deadline for governors to report election results to the Congress. In each state, the governor must send a certificate of ascertainment to Congress reporting which candidates won the state and which slate of electors has been appointed to the Electoral College. The Electoral College meets. In each state, the winning candidate slate of pledged electors meet, cast their votes, and send a record of their votes to Congress. January 3rd, the start of the 117th Congress, all newly elected or re-elected senators and representatives. Sorry. I think there's like a plane crashing over my head.
But let me ask
You're
you
good,
this.
Kim.
Let me ask you this. Let's say the California is 2 days late getting their stuff in. You really think that their votes are going to get disqualified because they were 2 days late?
Clearly not, because they were what, 3 weeks late? Oh, they were still counting in December.
Because they had to keep counting until Biden won.
Yeah, they did. They had to keep counting. Well, this time around, they had to keep counting until they got all those congressional seats that they really didn't get. I mean, so right now, California is sitting at 17% of their Congress people are Republican and 83% are Democrat. And that's not the map of the, parties within that.
Yeah. And he wants to draw lines to get rid of the 17%.
That's all right. Spencer Pratt's going to take him down.
Who?
Spencer Pratt. He used to be on this reality show called The Hills or Laguna Beach, and he and his wife they lost their home in Pacific Palisades, and he basically did a little bit of digging and found out he was the one that kind of broke the whole thing with Newsom stealing all the fire aid money.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It seems like I've heard that name before, and I couldn't remember from where. So
yeah, if you're not following him, you should follow him on X.
Spencer, what's his last name?
Pratt, Pratt.
Like Chris Pratt.
Yes, like that.
Or like Kelly Pratt.
Like Pratt.
Yeah, like Kelly Pratt.
Like Pratt and Whitney.
What the heck's Pratt and Whitney?
They make aircraft engines.
Oh, they're important. I will tell you something funny. I saw today. This teacher did a TikTok video, and it's he said that one of his students asked him if he was alive when the world went to color. Because he thought, because all the black and white stuff, that the whole world was black and white and no color.
I was.
When the world went to color, huh?
When the world went to color TV, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
he meant that we lived in black and white, like there was no color in the world. And then the teacher asked how many of the students in his class thought that, and he said that half of them raised their hand. And then he said, "We're in real trouble, people. Who the hell's going to take care of us when we're old? Because these kids are idiots."
Oh God! Oh, by the way, Kelly, thank you so much for tuning in to Betrayal Space on Saturday. Enjoyed having you in the
I really liked it, and sorry I couldn't come up, but thanks.
Yes, Kelly. Thank you for encouraging Matt.
That's right. Got to show your support. All right. So January 6th, Congress counts electoral college votes. Congress convenes in a joint session held in the House chambers to count electoral college votes and choose the next president. January 20th is Inauguration Day. The newly elected president is sworn in. If Congress hasn't chosen a new president, the newly elected vice president is sworn in as the acting president. If the Congress hasn't chosen a new vice president, the Speaker of the House is sworn in as the acting president. Boy, I remember us being really worried about Nancy Pelosi trying to come in and take over. Oh, that would have been awful. All right, so part 1, understanding the system, how the United States actually elects presidents. Understanding the system, the Electoral College. According to sources in the Republican Party at the state and national levels, the Trump campaign is discussing contingency plans to bypass election results and appoint loyal electors in battleground states where Republicans hold the legislative majority. With a justification based on claims of rampant fraud, Trump would ask state legislators to set aside the popular vote and exercise their power to choose a slate of electors directly. That was a quote from Barton Gellman, The Election That Could Break America, The Atlantic. On September 23rd, 2020 is when he published that. Donald Trump knows that he's losing. According to the polls, he's likely to lose both the popular vote and the electoral college vote, possibly by huge margins. Assuming the polls are correct, the only option he has left if he wants to stay in office is to cheat. Unfortunately, there's a real possibility that Trump and his allies could overturn a Biden victory. In a country with universally well-designed and competently administered processes for voting and counting ballots, it would be impossible for a candidate like Trump to overturn the results of the election. But that isn't the country we live in. The combination of an arcane system by which electoral college votes are cast and counted, the administration of ballots and elections by individual counties instead of the federal government, and a global pandemic make our system vulnerable to a candidate like Trump who will do anything to win. There are two. What?
Where did the 20 million votes go?
Right. Where did they go?
We deported them.
Huh?
He deported them.
Where did
Maybe Biden deported them.
He didn't deport him because he wasn't in yet.
No, but we lost the 20 million votes in this election.
Right.
Right.
Trump
So
deported his own votes. Like, you realize what you're saying, right?
He wasn't president yet. He couldn't deport him.
right.
No, there were 20 million less votes for the Democrats this year. Well, last election than there was 2020 election.
Did you see my post, or maybe it was American Mission, posted about the census? Seems like the census is fudging numbers to now make it match. So what we saw that we're missing all these people, all of a sudden are there in 1 year.
No.
Yeah, they
No.
fudged it in 24. Yeah, I was counting it.
I would tell you this whole fudging of the crime statistics is going to get somebody in some big trouble, because that's some bullshit.
This all started in 2010 when they started estimating the number of people.
What do you mean that black people aren't dark white?
No, seriously. They started estimating.
I know, I'm being serious.
They started estimating the homeless. And that's how all this stuff started.
They've been putting Hispanic, Asians, and black people down as light and dark white for crimes committed.
Really?
That's how that dude down in Florida, the guy that killed Trayvon Martin, got to be a white Hispanic.
George Zimmerman.
Was Hispanic.
I don't remember. I thought, well, there's white Hispanic. Well, not Hispanics. There's white Latinos and non-white Latinos. Just remember that.
There are Latinos and there are Caucasians.
Well,
bro, I don't care. I don't care what about the white Hispanics thing like that. What I'm saying is there are actual like Nigerian dark black people being marked down as dark white
because they want it to seem like white people kill everybody.
Yeah, that's a fallacy of NBC News.
Well, here's the other thing, guys. And not a lot of people are talking about this, but like the amount of white people being killed is alarming. Yes, I said it. It is very alarming.
That's because there are more white people than there are other people.
I get that there are more white people than there are other people.
No, there's not. Don't fall into that trap, Kim. There's the population of white people only consists of 6% of the entire population of the planet.
That makes sense.
We're the real minority.
We are, and we're becoming extinct.
We're not extinct yet, though.
That's right. All right, so there are two common misconceptions about how presidential elections work. One, that the candidate who receives the most votes wins, and two, that each voter votes directly for a presidential candidate. Neither of these are true. Under our Constitution, citizens don't vote directly for a presidential ticket, even if that is the box they check on their ballot. They vote for what are called electors. Electors are actual people chosen by the chairs of state political parties who have pledged to vote for that party's presidential candidate in what is called the Electoral College. When you cast your ballot for Joe Biden, you are actually voting for a state-level slate of Biden electors who, when the Electoral College votes on December 14th, will cast their vote for Joe Biden. There are 538 total Electoral College votes, and a candidate needs a majority to win. As we know from George W. Bush's victory in 2000 and Donald Trump's in 2016, a candidate can receive fewer votes nationally than their opponent, even millions fewer, and still win if they receive 270 vote majority in the Electoral College. What if neither candidate wins? It's unlikely that neither candidate gets 270 electoral college votes, but you're still likely to hear a lot about this scenario. Even Trump has mentioned it. If neither candidate gets 270 electoral college votes, the Senate votes to choose the vice president and the House of Representatives votes to choose the president. In this special House vote, members don't cast votes individually. Instead, each state delegation gets a single vote. Although Democrats have a majority in the current Congress, Republicans control 26 of the 50 state delegations, meaning in 26 states there were more Republican members of the House than Democratic members. While Democrats may control more state delegations after November 2020 than they do currently, even in the most optimistic scenario, we are unlikely to control more than 25 because y'all suck. If the House vote is a tie, as it likely would be if Democrats and Republicans each controlled 25 delegations, the vice presidents chosen by the Senate would be sworn in as acting president on January 20th. In almost every case, after a state finishes counting its ballots, its governor certifies the results and sends an official document to Congress notifying it of which electors will vote in the Electoral College. The winning candidates' electors meet, vote, and send a record for their vote to Congress, which counts the votes and determines which candidate won the Electoral College vote. This whole process is largely ceremonial and uncontroversial, except when it isn't. In a very rare but important instance, there has been serious disagreement over the outcome of the election in a given state. In these cases, state legislatures have appointed a second, competing slate of electors in addition to the slate appointed by the governor. Both slates of electors vote and send their votes to Congress, forcing Congress to decide which electoral college votes to count and who will be the next president. This isn't how it's supposed to work. It's a violation of the normal process and, in many cases, state law. But there's nothing that can stop a state legislature from appointing a competing slate of electors, and once it does, Congress can determine which slate of electors should be counted to determine who wins the presidency. A candidate's electors can even meet on their own authority to cast their votes for the candidate to whom they're pledged. It's rare, it's happened before.
So let's talk about this for a second, okay? So who does the Constitution vest the power of passing the laws regarding elections?
The states.
Congress?
The states.
That the state legislatures, not the governors, not the secretaries of state, not the courts, not the commissioners of elections. The state legislatures. So the law on election day, whether you like it or not, is the law. And you don't get to arbitrarily change that because, oh, it's a fucking emergency. Oh, it's fucking COVID. Pardon my French. Oh, well, we have to wear a mask. Oh, well, Joe Biden can't get 12 people inside of circles in a gymnasium. Oh, we have to use mail-in ballots. Well, did the legislature say that you get to use all mail-in ballots? Did they change the rules for you to be able to use all mail-in ballots? Nobody passed a law that said you could do that. You took it upon yourself to do that. Nobody passed a law that said you could do a whole bunch of stuff that got done in 2020.
Yeah, transgender titties on the White House lawn was not okay.
On Easter.
That
no less.
Well, number one, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about now.
Don't piss off Mr. Philby, Pepe.
And you know, it was Obama that started that crap when he had the rainbow colors on the White House and whatever. Hey, all right, go ahead, Matt. I'm just off.
I don't think I could anger my partner in crime to free the government cheese programs.
That's a cheap trying to butter him up.
It worked though.
Matt,
go ahead, Matt.
Matt, you have your hand up. What do you want?
Um, so just to reset this, didn't this thing say at the beginning that if that they would basically ensure that that Joe Biden won, and Trump did not, and because they've already said Trump can't win without cheating, and didn't that thing say that at the beginning that hey, if we better wake up with a Biden victory?
Essentially, yeah, that's what it says. It's basically like, we're not accepting that he wins. There was no way that they were going to accept that. So this was their way of ensuring
Right.
that.
But the other okay, let's keep, because I think that's important. Let's keep that in mind as we're going through this. The other thing I wanted to bring up is they got the civic stuff correct about the about how the electoral college works. Not that I'm giving them credit for it. I'm just saying they got it right. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is like, and Mr. Philby, correct me if I'm wrong on this. I seem to recall that the state legislatures did go along with these rule changes, including in red states. I believe because they had to, otherwise they couldn't do the election fraud fortifying the way that they wanted to.
No, actually, they didn't. They sat on their hands. Go ahead, Susan.
Good evening. Yeah, I mean, 2020, we all know the 2020 election was stolen. But the most interesting election, I think, in the history of our country was the election of 1824, where you had basically four candidates running. You had John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, William H. Crawford, and Henry Clay, who, by the way, ran for president 3 times and lost 3 times. Anyway, so because Henry Clay was the Speaker of the House at the time, he had a lot of buddies. Oh, he had a lot of buddies. And nobody got a majority of the electoral votes. So guess where it went? Ding, ding, ding. Went to the House of Representatives.
House and Senate, right?
There you go. And because Henry Clay had a lot of good buddies there in the House of Representatives, John Quincy Adams became the president, even though Andrew Jackson got 99 electoral votes and John Quincy Adams only had 84. Crawford had 41 and Henry Clay was eliminated anyway. So there you go. Then the reason why that happened is because they had the the corrupt bargain controversy, where Henry Clay, as his Secretary of State, moved that Jackson and his supporters, they were too corrupt. We're not too sure about Andrew Jackson. He's not for central banking, blah, 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 blah. And the rest is history. And that's the first and only time that our election has gone to the House of Representatives.
And the first time that a son succeeded his father as president.
Correcto.
Correct.
And by the way, he was one of the worst presidents we've ever had. The next time he ran against Andrew Jackson, Jackson clobbered him.
And didn't he end up back in the House of Representatives?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. And in fact, he went. In fact, he wound up in there solely to try to end slavery. And you can look up all the sorts of stuff they did to him. They even tried to impeach him over it. And he kept at it. He kept sort of wanting to die on that hill of ending slavery.
And guess what? He was a big proponent of, Andrew Jackson. Tariffs and no central banking. And what was the first picture that Trump brought out of the cellar or the archives? Andrew Jackson.
$100 bill, y'all.
Susan, that's fantastic. I seemingly forgot about that until you mentioned it. But the other other thing I wanted to bring up earlier is you Kim, didn't you mention something about? Didn't you read something in the document about how about how they would how they would do it? Like, haven't they said at this point, like, oh, if Biden doesn't if, if Biden doesn't win, Trump's gonna steal it. And then they lay out how they steal it, right?
Yeah, that's going to
what
be
it's
further
going?
down in the document.
Yeah. So, Matt, to your point, just so you can go do a little research on what you were saying, go take a look at Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania came back after the election because um, Pennsylvania had a majority state Republican state legislature, and uh, they were fit to be tied, and because they had I believe they had a Democrat governor, and
When was this? When are you talking about?
Shapiro.
Yeah.
no, this was before Shapiro, I think,
What election are you talking about?
2020,
2020.
Okay. Yeah.
and they he wouldn't call him into session, and they couldn't get enough votes because of the number of Democrats to be able to come back into session to call a special session. And my recollection is that one of the people that happened to be in the Senate was was our newly our new best Democrat senator friend. What's his name, Mike? Oh, you're not a speaker. Let's bring you up since you happen to be from Pennsylvania. Lurch.
Oh, Fetterman.
Yeah.
John Fetterman. Yeah.
Yeah, he happened to be in the state Senate then.
Dude.
Running for the Senate.
Tom Wolfe was the governor of Pennsylvania in 2020.
A Democrat, by the way.
So
Well, of course.
they do give an example of the disputed election of 1876. And didn't this fraudulent or this alternate slate of elector type of situation happen with JFK too?
I don't know, but maybe Mr. Philby does. But I'm not surprised, because not the election of 1960 was also, prior to 2020, so I've been told, the most corrupt election in US prior to 2020.
Well, let's just say that one of the most famous quotes of JFK's dad was, I paid for presidency. I didn't pay for a landslide.
Y'all, I think that they've moved something with the runways, because I am now in the landing path of Tampa International Airport, apparently, because the planes going over today are out of control. Sounds like they're going to land on my house.
Stay safe, Kim, whatever you do.
I can't tell. I need to go out there and like look and see what kind of plane it is, because McDill's right there too. So somehow I got air traffic tonight. All right. So the disputed election of 1876, it may seem implausible that Republican legislatures would appoint fraudulent electors, but it happened before. In 1876, the country faced a major constitutional crisis after multiple states sent competing slates of electors to Congress. That year, Florida, Louisiana, and South Carolina sent competing sets of electoral college votes to Congress, each with one set pledged to Republican Rutherford B. Hayes and the other to Democrat Samuel Tilden. Oregon also had a dispute over the eligibility of one of its electors. At the time, no law addressed how Congress should decide which slates to accept, and the country faced a real risk of not being able to choose a president. Following protracted negotiations, which concluded only days before the inauguration, Congress reached a political compromise to determine the winner. Hayes was sworn in as president in return for withdrawal of federal troops from the South, thus effectively ending Reconstruction and ushering in a century of Jim Crow. Wow. When we talk about Trump refusing to accept the results of the election, many people imagine his refusing to leave the White House and being dragged out by Secret Service. That won't happen. If Trump overturns the results of the election, his coup will be spun as a fair and legitimate legal process. This is the nightmare scenario. Trump disrupts and delays the ballot count in order to undermine public faith in the election and create a perception of chaos and fraud. Republican state legislatures in key swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, each of which has a Democratic governor and a Republican-led state legislature, will declare that the election has been corrupted by fraud, that an accurate ballot count is impossible, and that Trump is the rightful winner based on the partial count. They'll use this pretext to send a second fraudulent slate of electors to Congress. To prevent this Republican strategy from succeeding, we have to understand the system that it's designed to exploit. And 5 key dates: November 3rd, December 8th, December 14th, January 6th, and January 20th. Those 5 dates and the 77-day period between Election Day and the inauguration could determine the future of our democracy. We're not a democracy. November 3rd, Election Day. Unlike most recent presidential elections, we most likely won't know the winner of the 2020 race on election night. The reason is simple: because dramatically more people will vote by mail in this election as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In recent presidential elections, it's been possible to declare one of the candidates the winner on election night because there haven't been enough outstanding mail-in ballots in battleground states to affect the outcome of the election. This year, however, the mail-in ballots will be a large enough share of the total votes that a candidate could win the election count, but lose by a large margin once all of the ballots are counted. And election day count, sorry. And it's almost certain that Biden will win a substantially larger share of the mail-in ballots than Trump. Some key states, like Florida, begin counting mail-in ballots before November 3rd, and many of these votes will already be tabulated by election night. In other key states, like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, election officials are prevented by law from even beginning to process mail-in ballots before Election Day. Michigan can only start pre-processing mail-in ballots 10 hours before Election Day. Assuming a close election, it's likely that there will be enough mail-in ballots to make it impossible to know the winner until they're all counted in the days and weeks after November 3rd, making it nearly impossible to declare a winner on election night. Because the American electoral system is highly decentralized and run by state and local authorities, this counting of votes takes place in thousands of different county boards of elections offices across the country. This means that Republicans have hundreds of opportunities to disrupt and delay the count in key states. We are used to the scenario in which enough of the total ballots are counted on election night in order to let us know who will win the presidential election. That may not be true this year due to the unprecedented number of mail-in ballots, and a full and fair count of all votes may take up to several weeks or longer to complete. This unavoidable time lag between when votes are cast and when we will know the results is one of the key vulnerabilities that Trump and the Republicans will almost certainly exploit to destroy confidence in the election and hold on to power. Like, isn't there a deadline of when the ballot has to be in on election day?
I thought it was election day, but I seem to recall that in some states they put in, specifically Pennsylvania, like Mr. Philby mentioned. Uh, I seem to recall they pushed that deadline back until after election day because of the mail-in ballots.
In California,
As long as the ballot is,
California counted votes for 4.5 weeks.
as long as the ballot is dated postmarked by election day.
So then you get
Except in Pennsylvania.
and then what
There's
is
a ruling that came out today in Pennsylvania that the Democratic Supreme Court of the state decided that all ballots had to be counted, even if it doesn't have a date on it.
Uh,
So they could come in a week later and they're
No.
still have to count them.
no. Like, I think, honestly, these states, if they are not going to have voter ID and not follow the rules, I don't think that their votes should count. I think that they should be disqualified. I'm tired of putting up with this crap. All right, the blue shift.
And they'll come up with more ways to cheat, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. The blue shift.
And
In
remember,
recent
every
elections,
state Kamala won did not have voter ID.
yeah. Who? In
Yeah,
recent
yeah,
elections,
she's persona non grata.
Oh my God, I saw a video of her today. She's going on a tour, people. She's going on a speaking tour.
Not just every state, but only state, man.
What, Pepe? You got roboted.
Of course I did. I
Oh,
said it's
hi,
not
Adam.
just every state that she won. I said it was. So it wasn't just. Hold on.
I can finally hear you, and you tell me to hold on.
All right, cool. I had said that it was every state that she won. Only the states that she won had no ID.
Okay, thanks for that.
Because she a hoe. All right. In recent elections, Democrats have been far more likely than Republicans to vote by mail. As a result, the vote count shifts in favor of Democratic candidates as mail-in ballots are counted after Election Day. This phenomenon is called the blue shift. For the 2020 election, many more Democrats than Republicans have requested mail-in ballots, strongly indicating that Democrats will again be more likely to vote by mail than Republicans. Consequently, in a close election, it's likely that the November 3rd count will show Trump leading and that Biden will take the lead as mail-in ballots are counted. Trump has already been peddling a conspiracy theory that the blue shift is evidence of non-existent voter fraud and that the election night returns, which are likely to show him in the lead, should be certified and used to decide the election. This narrative is central to his strategy for creating chaos and confusion after the election and for attempting to overturn the results. So they're warming us up. They're warming us up for it. December 8th is safe harbor deadline. Each state is required by law to resolve any disputes over which ballots qualify and to finalize a ballot count by December 8th or risk not having its electoral college votes counted. If a state hasn't counted all ballots by this date and certified a winner, its electoral college votes are in danger of not being counted by Congress. This date is referred to as the safe harbor deadline, meaning that if a state completes its count and certifies its results by this date, its electoral votes are safe and will be included in the tally that elects the president. This deadline is a key pressure point that Trump and the Republicans can use to create chaos and prevent every ballot from being fairly counted. Between Election Day and December 8th, we should expect a multi-state legal battle over which ballots to count and which to throw out. In key swing states, it may even be possible for Trump's campaign to use legal and administrative challenges to delay the complete ballot count until after the December 8th deadline. December 14th, the Electoral College meets. Each state's governor must certify the official results of their state's election by December 14th. They do this by sending what is called a certificate of ascertainment to Congress, notifying it of which candidate's slate of electors will vote in the Electoral College, a vote which takes place on this same day. The winning slate of electors meets on December 14th in each individual state, not as a collective national group. They vote for the presidential candidate they are pledged to, and they send a record of their vote to Congress. If Republicans appoint a competing fraudulent slate, alternate slate of Trump electors, these electors will meet separately and vote on this day as well. At that point, the fight moves to Congress, which ultimately chooses the president. See, I don't get why they keep calling it a fraudulent slate because it's in the Constitution that you can have an alternate slate of electors, isn't it? I mean, I seem to recall it being in there.
I think so. But wait a minute. Didn't it explain that earlier? Didn't it explain the whole second slate of electors thing earlier in the document,
Right,
Kim?
right. And it's in the Constitution. I mean, it's not like it's made up. So I don't
Well,
understand why they call it fraudulent. It just doesn't.
they're trying to. It's a framing thing,
Right, I
right? They're
know.
trying to frame it. I mean, yeah, you do. I mean, they're trying to frame it as, oh, if we don't get the results they want, it's only because this slate of electors that that the state sent up there is fraudulent because they're a second set of electors who will look at this critically and come to a different conclusion. That hence they're frauds. They're fraudulent electors.
But
So
their technical term is an alternate slate.
right.
And they didn't seem to mind and called them an alternate slate during JFK's election.
Exactly.
So they were all for it then. The Electoral College meets on December 14th. All right. So each state's governor must certify the official results of their state election by December 14th. If they do this by sending what is called a certificate of entertainment. The winning slate of electors meets on December 14th in each individual state. If Republicans appoint a competing fraud alternate slate of Trump electors, these electors will meet separately and vote on this day as well. At that point, the fight moves to Congress, which ultimately chooses the president. Page 12. Faithless electors. One subject that has received a lot of attention is so-called faithless electors. These are people who pledge themselves to vote for Biden or Trump in the Electoral College, but change their mind and cast a different vote. The Supreme Court recently ruled that states can prohibit electors from doing this, although not all states have laws that do prohibit it. Pennsylvania, for example, allows faithless electors. Still, faithless electors are very rare, and it's extremely unlikely that they will play a decisive role in the 2020 election. Other dangers to the vote counting itself and the Electoral College process are far more likely to be determinative. January 6th, Congress counts Electoral College votes. The vote of the Electoral College is not the moment either Biden or Trump will legally win the presidency. All electoral votes must still be accepted as qualifying votes and then counted. In our Constitution, this power belongs to the Congress. On January 6th, 2021, the new Congress elected in November 2020, not the current Congress, will hold a joint session of the House of Representatives and the Senate in the House chamber. During this session, Congress officially accepts the Electoral College votes of each state and counts them. Under ordinary circumstances, this is a ceremonial event in which the already settled results of the November election are made official. But let us be clear. There's nothing ceremonial about the power being exercised on this date. It is the result of this vote count and no other that determines who will be the next president. Congress, not voters, not county election officials, not governors and legislatures, ultimately choose the president. If the election is disputed, the final battle will be fought in Congress. All right. So, how does Congress resolve disputes over electoral college votes? Man, we are getting in so much civics tonight. So much civics.
Before we move into that, I think it's worth noting that the election of what was it? It was at 1800 or it was in the early 1800s where 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 the electoral college didn't choose a winner and then Congress had to choose
1824.
Yeah, that was what Susan was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Well, they went for what, like 16 rounds or whatever, and then they 15 or 16, and then on the 16th round they finally they finally voted. So they finally picked a winner. So this has happened before, where right, Susan, where Congress has had to decide.
It's only happened once in our history.
It's only happened once. Yeah. But
so that's where the Congress had to do the choosing.
That's where the backroom deal came in,
Right? Is that what you're saying?
But was that was because the electoral
that there
college
was that they sent in the alternate slates of they sent in the alternate slates, and then they had to basically battle it out, sort of like the scenario that we wound up with in 2020, where on January 6th, as Arizona was standing up to cast their one vote per state, is when the chaos ensued.
Oh no! On January 6th, they were disputing the electoral votes for each state,
Right.
starting with Alabama.
Oh, I thought it was they were on Arizona when it all went to hell.
Well, yeah, I mean they basically disputed Alabama, and then Arizona came up, and then they disputed Arizona, and then that's when all hell broke loose.
But it was going to go to like a one vote per state.
Well, scenario, you got the rule that was set up was you had to have I think is 2 representatives at the time and 1 senator to dispute. And in the past, nobody had ever been able to get 2 representatives and one senator. They've always been able to get 2 representatives, but the Senate had never played along. So they've never really been able to stop the count and go to debate for any length of time. And the Republicans were really going to take this thing, to the mat and
Little
try.
did they know they had a traitor in Pence and all that.
Well, they were gonna try to force them to
One vote, one state, right?
basically put off the electoral college vote until they did an investigation, and then maybe go to another grand deal like they had that Susan was talking about.
Right, which is all counter narrative to like the whole January 6th, premise, because everyone's saying like, oh, January 6th, we were trying to stop, the Congress from doing their job, but in reality, we were stopping our own people, our own representatives for trying to fight for us to overturn it. So
that's because it wasn't us. It
right,
was the bad guys.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. We were doing it instead of them. So that's why they caused the riot, was to disrupt us.
Right, because in the end, when everything settled, they came back to Congress and there was no more arguing. They just certified the election.
And I don't. And I think what's interesting to frame this document that you're reading from, if I remember right, from back when we first covered this, I believe this was written in like September or October before the election even happened. They're going through in detail all of this civic lesson and how to prepare for every possible scenario. And I believe in one of these scenarios, they talk about taking over the Capitol, and I believe it's the first time that the word insurrection is used before the election even happened.
Yes, it is on page 33.
That blew my mind.
Yeah, that really got me pissed. But just the way that they frame everything in here, right? It's like they knew what was going to happen. And they were playing it, and now that we know what we know, it was sort of inevitable that it was going to happen like that. It just makes me feel like, what the hell were the good guys doing? Just totally blind.
You all have to remember that most of the people that were on Capitol Hill hated Trump, but in the Senate, you had enough people that were afraid of their jobs that they wouldn't throw him out of office. But they let 2 impeachments go through.
Right.
And they entertained 2 trials.
They did.
And the second time, the Chief Justice said, I'm washing my hands of this. You all want to have another impeachment? You do it on your own.
Well, it was absolutely ridiculous. They impeached him over what? January 6th.
January 6th. But
the first impeachment was over the freaking conversation that he called Zelensky. It was like, hey, something smells funny. Can you give me any information about Biden? And he got impeached over that. That I think they need to go back and review. I think that impeachment should be overturned. I don't think he should have that on his record at all. Either one of them.
I think both are going to be overturned.
Good. They should be. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. Especially knowing what we know now, and knowing having the documentation that Obama called for them to change that IC or ICA or whatever.
Unbelievable.
Wait,
Huh?
what are you referring to
Yeah.
there, Kim? What's the IC?
That what the Tulsi Gabbard dropped about them changing the intelligence community assessment.
Okay. Okay. What?
And using the Steele dossier in that assessment to make those claims that Russia
Okay.
had colluded with Trump.
Sorry, just to clarify, I wasn't sure what ICA stood for. My bad.
Yeah.
You know, those Visa court judges, they're in just as much trouble as everybody else.
Yeah, but
I think all of the judges need to be audited.
yeah, but
and we should audit them for good behavior. And then if they have not had good behavior, they're out.
Well, they need to get rid of the FISA court.
Yes, they do.
yeah,
They need to get rid
yeah,
of a lot of things that they have used improperly. You don't get to have nice things when you use them improperly.
I made this point yesterday that the whole FISA court, when it was instituted and when it was instituted under the Bush regime administration, that everybody loved it. Oh, this is how we're going to catch the bad guys. Meanwhile, when the Obama administration gets in, it's used as a mechanism to spy on Obama's political opponents, i.e., Trump.
Oh, I'm sure W was doing it like that too. That dude was so crooked and stupid. God.
His father was, and he was.
I'm thinking that hopefully that Daddy Bush did freaking just sing like a canary before he died. That'd be awesome. All right. How does the Congress resolve disputes over electoral college votes? Congress chooses the president by counting electoral college votes and determining who won the election. Normally, this is uncontroversial. There hasn't been a battle in Congress to decide the outcome of a presidential election in over a century, but it has happened. The Constitution provides no guidance in a situation where Congress is faced with competing slates of electors from a single state. The 12th Amendment is the only part of the Constitution that addresses the counting of electoral college votes. What it says is quite limited. The president of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all the certificates and the votes shall be counted. After the contested 1876 election, Congress passed the Electoral Count Act, which was intended to create a process for settling disputes over competing slates of electors. Unfortunately, the law is famously convoluted and virtually untested. Legal scholars disagree on how to interpret it, and it has never been invoked to settle a disputed election. Some legal scholars even argue that it is unenforceable or unconstitutional. So, how does Congress resolve disputes over electoral college votes? The answer is we just don't know, but it's likely that politics and public perception will play a key role in shaping how Congress and the Supreme Court interpret the Electoral Count Act and the 12th Amendment. Whew. We just don't know. January 20th, Inauguration Day. At noon on January 20th, the next president will be sworn into office. If Congress hasn't finished counting electoral college votes, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, will be sworn in as the acting president. If it is not possible for the rightfully elected president to be sworn in on January 20th, and faced with an alternative of allowing Trump to win an illegitimate victory, Democrats should ensure that the Electoral College count cannot be completed by January 20th so that Nancy Pelosi becomes president. Trump must not be allowed to win an illegitimate victory under any circumstances. To stop him, Democrats will have to be prepared to go as far as Republicans in casting aside political norms and playing political hardball, something they've failed repeatedly to do when it matters most. Over the last decade, what's interesting is that you can feel the animosity from the 2000 election when they got overruled but W came in. I mean, this is still the angst from that played a part in this. Over the last decade, Republicans in Congress, led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, have effectively shut down the legislative branch. While Democrats have attempted to negotiate bipartisan compromises, Republicans have shut down the government, blocked virtually every piece of legislation Democrats have proposed, rammed through massive tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, packed the federal court with ultra-conservative judges, and even denied President Obama the opportunity to appoint a justice to the Supreme Court in 2016. Another chip on the shoulder. Republicans have shown that they've been more willing to be ruthless, to play hardball, to violate political norms to win, and to take advantage of Democrats when they try to negotiate in good faith. We don't have to speculate about how this dynamic would play out if Trump tries to steal the 2020 election. It's happened before in Florida in 2000 when George W. Bush stole the presidential election from Al Gore. Before we move on to describe in detail what Trump could do to steal the election, we want to pause and draw some lessons from recent history. Florida 2000, a cautionary tale. The outcome of the presidential election in 2000 hinged on Florida. We now know that Al Gore won more votes in Florida than George W. Bush did. If all of the votes had been counted, Al Gore would have been sworn in as the 43rd president. But that's not what happened. Bush's team waged a scorched earth campaign to overturn the will of Florida voters by preventing all of Gore's voter ballots from being counted, and by doing so, stole the 2000 election. The day after the 2000 election, Florida election officials announced that Bush's razor-thin margin of victory was small enough to trigger an automatic machine recount, which further narrowed his lead to a mere 327 votes. Gore's campaign requested a manual recount in 4 counties where over 170,000 ballots couldn't be read by machine. Bush's campaign sued to stop the manual recount. Gore's campaign put its faith in the legal system and urged Democratic organizations not to organize mass protests because Gore feared it would undermine public faith in the legal system. Bush's campaign, on the other hand, knew that it was in a battle of political will and public perception, not a legal battle. It launched a national public relations campaign to paint Gore as a sore loser. The Republican Party even flew in paid Republican operatives to a violent riot at the Miami-Dade Board of Elections, an event now referred to as the Brooks Brothers riot, which is widely seen as the pivotal moment in publicly discrediting the recount. On December 12th, the Supreme Court halted the recount, ensuring that Bush retained his narrow lead. The next day, intent on maintaining national unity following a bitterly contested election, Gore conceded. It didn't have to be this way. Many of Gore's advisors, including his top lawyer, Ron Klain, know that name, isn't he Mr. Autopen? Wanted to convene Gore's electors to cast rival votes to Bush's and take the fight to Congress. We don't know what would have happened if Gore had matched Bush's determination to win and willingness to take the fight to the streets and to Congress. What we do know is that Gore fought at a major disadvantage because he valued national unity and political norms over the voters who cast a ballot for the Democratic ticket. Voters whose families would bear the brunt of the worst abuses of the Bush administration, from austerity at home to wars of choice abroad. Meanwhile, Bush fought dirty to win, and his supporters were rewarded with tax cuts, deregulation, and corporate welfare. There's no limit to what Trump will do to win. If Democrats aren't willing and ready to go as far as Trump will to win, they are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past and suffer the very real consequences.
Well, Kim, Al Gore did invent the internet. So there's that.
There is that.
They didn't say anything about the hanging Chad.
I think that they wanted to not get into that. My gosh, I was like, can we just be done with this already?
That's Florida's. I'll never forget.
I mean, it's just such a scar on our butt.
Now we have the most secure state elections and federal elections in the country.
I can't believe watching those people hold up looking through those little holes, trying to shake the ballot to get the Chad to fall off the other side.
I'll tell you what, we never had friggin' punch.
To get another vote.
We never had punch ballots again. When they want to fix something, they can fix it.
I only voted with a punch ballot once in my life, and we got rid of those things. We got rid of those things so fast.
Well, yeah, I voted.
Is we got to get rid of motor voter registration because all these blue states and probably some red states, they're all registering to vote when they get their license because they're giving license to non-citizens and to illegals. So what happens? Oh, you can vote. You have an ID. They go to vote and they're registered to vote. Down here in Florida, you got to show your birth certificate in order to get a license down here. And a bill, electric bill, water bill, whatever, with your name on it. And you got to turn in your old license.
Yeah, we don't mess around anymore. So 2000 was the first. 2000 was the first election that I voted in. So I did one punch ballot. And my guy didn't win. I voted for Al Gore because I hated W. All right. And I was more liberal then because I just got out of college.
I voted in my first election was 1980.
Mine was 2000.
That's when I was born, Chris.
He just so thank you for that comment, sir.
I might drink to that, Mike.
Cheers.
I was 5. All right. Understanding the threat. This is part 2 of this compelling document. How Trump could disrupt the election. Understanding the threat. How Trump. Okay. The most direct threat to the electoral process now comes from the President of the United States himself, says David E. Sanger. Tuesday's debate made clear the gravest threat to the election, the president himself. The New York Times, September 30th, 2020. If Trump and the Republicans attempt to overthrow the results of the election, we know what playbook they will use. 1, make it harder for Democrats to vote, create violence at the polls, and intimidate voters, because that's what we do. 2, prevent Democratic votes in swing states, especially mail-in ballots, from being fully and accurately counted. They can do this by exploiting legal and administrative processes to challenge ballots, delaying the count past the December 8th safe harbor deadline, and even physically disrupting the vote count. Number 3, convince Republican legislators to overturn the results of the election, appointing alternate competing slates of Trump electors in order to throw the election to Congress. To stop this plan, we need to protest by the millions, but that won't be enough. Joe Biden, along with Democratic elected officials in swing states and Congress, will need to play brutal hardball. If they flinch, they'll lose. There are 3 steps Democrats must take to win. Democrats must fight to ensure that every ballot is accurately counted by December 8th. Unless and until a fair and complete vote count shows that Biden lost the election, he must not concede to Trump. 2, if Republican legislatures try to stop Biden from winning a state's electoral college votes by appointing fraudulent Trump electors, I give up on that. The Democratic governor in that state must appoint a competing slate of Biden electors. So Trump's are fraudulent and Biden's are competing. Okay. Slate of Biden electors. Even if Republicans succeed in preventing all of the ballots from being counted and Trump.
Governors don't get to appoint electors.
Yeah.
Governors
Yeah,
have no power in the electoral process.
It says the Democratic governor in that state must appoint a competing slate of electors.
Governors have no power.
I thought well, let me go back up here to this part about the electors. It said that a few times.
Only state legislatures have the power. And
yeah, it says, but there's nothing that can stop a state legislature from appointing a competing slate of electors.
Yeah, a state legislature. Governors have no authority.
State legislatures have appointed a second competing slate of electors in addition to the slate appointed by the governor.
Governors.
So the governor doesn't appoint the original electors?
No. The electors are appointed by the electors are elected by party. Okay.
It says electors are actual people chosen by the chairs of state political parties who have pledged to vote for their party's presidential candidate
But
yeah.
they're not appointed by the governor.
Well,
the governor
people are
plays
crazy.
no role.
So they're wrong.
The governor doesn't get to participate in this.
All right, where was I?
The governor has plenary authority over the state police, the National Guard. You know, he can facilitate, but he doesn't get to affect the election. And
So should I write into these people and be like, "Hey, you're wrong in this section right here"?
no, they're Democrats.
No, I mean, honestly, Kim, if you're casting pearls before swine, if you get the biblical reference.
I was being facetious.
I would like to know what these people are up to now, though.
I know, right? Because they've been awful quiet. Democrats in Congress must use every procedural and legal means available to ensure that Biden wins the Electoral College vote count. If that is not possible, they must ensure there is a deadlock and a Speaker of the House becomes president on January 20th. The following section describes what the Trump campaign and its allies could do at each step of the process between Election Day and the inauguration to overturn the results of the election, and what Democrats must do at each stage to fight back. This scenario will play out in one or a handful of swing states that individually or in combination will decide which candidate wins the election. Throughout this election, we will assume that the contested states that will decide the election are some combination of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. All three states have a Democratic governor who is responsible for reporting to Congress which candidate won the state. Pennsylvania and Michigan have Democratic secretaries of state who are responsible for compiling and reporting the final vote count. Wisconsin has a 6-member elections commission that is split 3-3 by party and is responsible for compiling and reporting the final vote count. Each state also has a Republican-controlled legislature that, for Trump to overturn the results of the election, would have to vote to appoint fraudulent Trump electors before December 14th. In the section below, when we refer to vote counts or the popular vote, we mean the voting results in contested swing states, not the national popular vote. As he did in 2016, Trump will almost certainly lose the national popular vote, and he'll again likely blame non-existent voter fraud. But the national popular vote is immaterial to who wins the election. All of the action that matters will happen in a handful of contested swing states. November 3rd. Voter suppression. Republican efforts to suppress the vote are nothing new. A cornerstone of the Republican Party's electoral strategy is to make it harder for people of color, young people, and poor people to vote. That's just not true. They've done this by passing strict voter ID laws. So you're saying that people of color and young people and poor people don't have voter IDs? That's freaking racist and economist. I don't know.
Hold just that, Michael. Do you remember seeing members of the Black Panther Party in Philadelphia with baseball bats standing out in front of the polls in 2016? He's not listening.
He's probably at the bar. I mean, and they were talking about that, but they're saying that the Republicans do it.
I remember that during the Obama years. I remember those.
Panther Party is not the Republican Party. It may be now.
Maybe. I think everything is the Republican Party now.
But it wasn't then. And
no,
if you don't consider the Black Panthers with baseball bats or batons or whatever intimidation, I don't know what is.
So they passed stricter voter ID laws, closing polling locations, purging voter rolls, erecting barriers to voter registration, stripping people with felony convictions of their right to vote, and gerrymandering legislative and congressional districts. I mean, these are all things that the Democrats do. Trump, however, has supercharged the Republican voter suppression strategy. In 2016, Trump's campaign ran a massive digital misinformation and disinformation program intended to convince Democrats not to vote. Since COVID-19, Trump and the Republican Party have launched a scorched earth legal campaign to block the expansion of mail-in voting. Meanwhile, Trump's campaign is recruiting over 50,000 poll watchers, likely including people drawn from the military and law enforcement, to intimidate voters at the polls. In the first presidential debate, Trump even called on his supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully. Ooh. While we can't predict the scale of disruption that right-wing vigilante poll watchers will cause at the polls, or while states are counting ballots, we should expect many of them to be armed and to engage in illegal voter intimidation. Again, Republican voter suppression is not new, even if the Trump campaign is taking it to the new levels. Voter suppression can chip away at Biden's margin of victory, but it can't on its own reverse the results of the election. Democrats can overwhelm voter suppression with massive voter turnout. We do it in elections all the time. But what chaos and violence at the polls can do is begin to create a pretext for Republican legislatures to appoint alternate electors. Actually suppressing votes is a secondary goal. The primary goal is to undermine public faith in the election. Trump supporters will instigate chaos and violence at the polls. Trump and his allies will immediately claim that it's actually Black Lives Matter, Antifa, or some other convenient scapegoat that is instigating violence, and that his supporters are acting in self-defense. Right-wing media will amplify these assertions, while mainstream media draws false equivalencies between right-wing militias and progressive protesters. Chaos favors Trump, even if his supporters are to blame. Anything that casts doubt on the integrity of the election is a step towards justifying intervention by Republican legislators. To counter this strategy, we must ensure that voters turn out in historically high and maintain calm in the face of right-wing intimidation. And we got some action steps. Oh, for Democratic officials everywhere, prepare the public. Publicly acknowledge the danger that Trump and the Republicans will try to overturn the results of the election. Speak with your constituents, members of the media, other government officials, and your staff about the possibility of a contested election. Your voice carries further than most, and you have a responsibility to psychologically prepare people in your community for a constitutional crisis. Encourage people to vote no matter what. Massive voter turnout is the best way to avert a crisis. Pledge to defend the Constitution. Publicly pledge to use all of the powers of your office to protect ballots and protesters from right-wing extremists and from illegal action by the federal government. Pressure Republicans. Make your Republican colleagues take sides publicly. Republicans should state plainly that every ballot should be counted, that mail-in ballots are safe and secure, that concerns about fraud are unwarranted, and that Republican legislatures in swing states should not intervene in the election. Paying lip service to a peaceful transition of power isn't enough. Republicans must make specific, concrete commitments to ensuring that this is a fair and free election. For the rest of us, vote. Vote, however, is most convenient for you as early as possible. Encourage and help your neighbors, friends, and members of your community to vote. The best only antidote to the first phase of Trump's campaign to disrupt the 2020 election is for us to vote in massive numbers. Volunteer as a poll worker. The COVID-19 pandemic may make it harder to fully staff the polls with volunteers. If you can do so safely, volunteer to become a poll worker. Volunteer. Support Get Out the Vote and election protection efforts in all swing states. If Biden wins in a landslide, Trump won't be able to overturn the results of the election. I like how they just assume that Get Out the Vote is theirs. Like, it's just to get everybody voting. It's not just supposed to be for Democrats. Remain calm and challenge misinformation and disinformation. Republicans are spreading lies and conspiracy theories about voter fraud and barriers to voting. Only repeat information about voting that comes from credible sources. Prepare for a contested election. Share this document with your friends, family, and people in your community. Read and discuss it together. December 8th, disrupting the ballot count. The Florida election should be called in favor of Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis in that large numbers of new ballots showed up out of nowhere and many ballots are missing or forged. An honest vote count is no longer possible. Ballots massively infected must go with election night. Donald Trump, November 12th, 2018. The only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election. Donald Trump, August 24th, 2020. Trump is already accusing Democrats of rigging the election. He has repeatedly said that the only way he will lose is if Democrats commit massive voter fraud with mail-in ballots, and that he may not accept election results that show him losing to Biden because he says they will be fraudulent. This is all a ridiculous conspiracy theory and a transparent attempt to undermine faith in the election. But if Trump convinces enough people that it's true, he will create an opening for the Republican state legislatures to steal the election. The key period during which Trump can undermine public faith in the integrity of the election is between Election Day and December 8th, while the ballots are still being counted. December 8th is the deadline for the states to certify the results of the election. The more chaos Trump can create while the ballots are being counted, the more likely people are to believe that the results are fraudulent. In a close election, Trump may lead Biden in must-win swing states on election night because so many Democrats are voting by mail, and mail-in ballots will take longer to count in key swing states. Only after mail-in ballots have been counted in the following days and weeks will it become clear that Biden won the battleground states. Oh yeah, you know that, huh? If the election night totals show Trump in the lead because Democratic mail-in ballots haven't been counted yet, he will likely demand that those results be certified and that the election be called in his favor. As mail-in ballots are counted and Biden takes the lead, Trump will accuse Democrats of fraud and double down on his demand for the election night results to be certified. This is exactly what Trump did in 2018 during the statewide recount in Florida. As the recount was underway, Trump called for election officials to certify Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott as the winners in the gubernatorial and Senate races because they each held a lead over their Democratic opponents on election night. During the ballot count, Trump will have two goals. Achieving either one will help him cast doubt on Joe Biden's victory. First, create delays and prevent as many Democratic voters' ballots from being counted before the December 8th deadline as possible. If he does this on a large enough scale, the partial count on December 8th may even show him ahead in some states that he actually lost to Biden. This is what George W. did in Florida in 2000, and by doing so, he won the Electoral College vote. Second, create a perception of chaos to delegitimize the election results. If he fails to stop Democratic voters' ballots from being counted before the deadline, he can still kick up enough dust to create a perception that the final ballot count is illegitimate and fraudulent. Unfortunately, there's a lot that Trump and his allies can do to disrupt and delay the ballot count. Launch an onslaught of legal and administrative challenges to disqualify mail-in ballots and demanding recounts, convince election administrators in Republican-dominated counties to prematurely halt their ballot count, order the Department of Justice, U.S. Post Office, or other federal agencies to open investigations into election administrators, Democratic organizers, and elected officials. Trump may even order federal agents to halt ballot counts or seize ballots. Encourage his supporters to organize armed protests to intimidate election administrators or directly disrupt ballot counts, and declare martial law and deploy federal troops in response to protests. Some of these actions are illegal, but it may not matter to Trump or to those who enable him. There will also be situations where administrative barriers create delays in Trump's favor. For example, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Pennsylvania changed its voting rules and adopted a process for counting a large number of paper ballots. As a result, the state took several weeks to count the 2020 primary ballots. It would simply not be possible for Pennsylvania to complete the presidential ballot count before the safe harbor deadline because the state has been prevented by Republican lawsuits from beginning the count of paper ballots from November 3rd. If a ballot isn't counted before December 8th, there's no do-over, even if the delay was a result of illegal actions by Trump's campaign.
Kim.
Yeah.
Jen.
Oh, hey, Jen. Sorry, I was reading.
So I'm going to put something in the nest. Literally just what I grabbed some garlic bread real quick at the store when I was there because I was like, oh, I'm going to make something that'll go good with garlic bread tonight. Why does my freaking garlic bread contain bioengineered ingredients?
Oh, hell no.
It was from the bakery?
Yeah,
Must be
from the
Oh my
Walmart
God.
bakery.
talking
wow.
about the cheese.
Your guess is as good as mine, Jen. I mean, who's putting those ingredients in there? Is it companies like Monsanto or something like?
Don't throw it away, Jen. Take it back and get your money back because
It was $2.
it
I'm not gonna they're gonna be like, "Ay."
That's gross.
What is bioengineered? Are you using cricket flour?
Or cicadas?
Like, what the hell is that? Like, you would think, like, garlic bread, like, that might be something safe.
It means it was grown in a lab.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts.
Well,
but literally, it's garlic bread. It's fresh made bread with garlic on it. How the hell are you bioengineering that? Why do you need to bioengineer that?
The butter that they put on it was is engineered in a lab
off of cancer cells.
I mean, why don't you ask Bill Gates why he owns so much farmland in America?
I was.
It's currently sitting in my trash.
I watched a video of Bill Gates eating bioengineered butter on TikTok not 48 hours ago.
Gross. By the way, guys, if you do tend to consume any sort of protein drinks, pre-made protein drinks, check the labels on those, because I've found many of those have the whole biological engineered comment on there.
Oh, gee, wait.
Hey, Kim?
For real?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Kim, I got to run.
Okay.
It was GMO wheat.
Mike has his hand up.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just want to let you know I got to run, but I'm going to be down in Tampa in September, so we got to talk.
All right, sounds good.
All right, later, guys.
Bye.
All right.
We'll miss
Bye,
you.
Mike. Thanks for coming.
Send some friends. Jen, that is like, it's just, that is weird food to have that be on there. But it could,
that's
it
what
could
I'm
be the
saying.
wheat.
Like, I'm like really careful, right? I don't buy like a lot of the processed stuff, whatever. But I just grabbed it because I'm like, oh my god, it's garlic bread. Like, how harmful could it be?
No,
really.
I would return it because the principle of the thing, it's like I don't eat bioengineered stuff, and we don't even know
No,
it
I
was
already got
bioengineered.
yelled at the dollar store today.
What?
Okay. Freaking okay, Abby got really mad at me because I yelled at some Asian chick. But let me tell you, okay? They had a package of hangers at the dollar store that was clearly marked $5, like the nice velvet ones, right? Okay, I'll pay $5 for that. I go to walk out of the store and I realize that they rang it up for $6. That's not what it was advertised as. So of course I go back. I'm like, like you said, like the price on the thing is clearly $5, right? Like you rang it up for 6. That's not okay. So she's like, oh, here, just wait a minute while I finish doing this up. And this chick is going slow AF. And obviously no one else in the store can help. So I literally like walk like towards her again and I'm like, hey, I don't have time to wait, but I'm just saying, like, this is really bad business practice. And this bitch fucking starts screaming at me. And I'm like, I was like, literally, why are you getting upset right now? She's like, you said it was bad business practice. I was like, I ain't blaming you. I was like, do you own Dollar Store? She's like, do I own Dollar Store? I was like, obviously not. Okay, but the practice of ringing something up for $1 more that you were advertising clearly as $5, right? That's not good practice. And yes, you might be like, oh my God, Jen, it's just $1. Yeah, but if they do that to 50 people, that's $50. If they do it to 100 people, that's $100 that company doesn't deserve. Well, I was the bad guy because I told the Asian lady to calm down.
I don't know how it works at that particular store, but what might have happened is they didn't up the price like that because I've seen that happen where again, not going to tell y'all which retailer I work for, but I've seen it happen where prices go up and down all the time, and somebody grabs it off the shelf. It rings up for a higher price. We have to either take the L or go back and change the price tag or something like that. Most of the time, we end up taking the L.
You know that's what Walmart's doing now. So if you notice at Walmart, especially like on the shoes and on the clothes, you know how they used to have like the detachable part of the tag where you could like
Yes.
the price was at the bottom, like the perforated bottom part of the tag.
Yeah.
So if you go to Walmart now, all of the tags have the perforations ripped off and they're changing the prices. So where something was $12 last week, now it's going for $25, and Walmart can now do this because they're ripping the perforated tags off of it.
So Jen, did the nice Asian ladies say anything to you in Asian?
No, I was too busy getting scolded because we don't make scenes.
Did she
I'm
get her
sorry.
phone?
Have you met me?
Did she get her phone out so she could make a TikTok or YouTube video out of it?
I
No.
would have
That's
done
what they're
that.
doing
That'd be
Go
now.
to
awesome.
snatch that damn phone. I pay for that motherfucker.
I was finna say,
Hey,
Jen, did you get your phone out and start videoing so you could cause a scene?
No, I mean, it's fucked up. And then she starts yelling at me. She's like, well, I'm sitting here ringing up the guy. I'm like, okay. And I wasn't rushing you. I was just telling you I didn't have time to wait and that it was bad business practice. And she's still yelling. So I told her to calm down.
What you should have done is said, look, I have a heck. You should have said, look, I have a platform. I have a following. I'm a somebody here. I'm gonna shame y'all for doing this.
Our dollar.
No, because my luck, I'll end up on freaking TikTok as the girl who was like, do you know who I am? No, I'm not being that person. No.
Our dollar store has self checkout, so we can.
oh man, that's a dream.
Oh, do you know what they do
You're
at
not
Five
telling me to
Below?
calm down. Do I look like I own dollar store?
Literally, that's what happened. It was ridiculous. I was like, obviously, I'm not blaming you, individual you, for freaking doing the price. I know it ain't your fault. Like, but you work for the company, dude. Like, not my problem.
I think Sprouts is price gouging because my chocolate went up another $2 a pound.
Yeah, of course it's Sprouts.
It's $18.99 a pound for this chocolate.
Guys, Kim bought so much chocolate at Sprouts that the guy like looked at her and was like, ma'am, do you know how much this is?
He shamed me. Chocolate shamed me. That same guy ringed me out today and he's like, oh, he goes, you got a little tiny bag. I go, yeah, the price went up another $2. He goes, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, no, ring it up.
So they know you there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, honestly, at Five Below, they have the self checkout, but they make the nice workers check you out at the self checkout like you're some kind of criminal.
Well, ours do at the store I work at. Ours do too, but that's because we have to watch people to make sure they scan everything they're supposed to, and that they're not trying to steal something by hiding something in a certain part of the buggy or on their person or whatever.
So then, what was the point of taking away the jobs from all those people?
Exactly. Well,
because they took the fun part away. They took the fun part
well,
away.
the only reason you would do that is if you eventually want to automate the whole dang store.
Whoa.
Like I heard.
Did Mac get sucked in the vortex?
Okay, hey, can y'all hear me?
Yep, now we can hear you.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but like
now we can't.
Shoot. Like Rigo was telling me, I heard Rigo say once that out there in California where he's at, they got a Home Depot and all the I've never heard of this, but like all the checkouts there are like all self checkout, no automated, like nobody's watching them. I'm thinking, what the crap? That's out in California, or where are the smaller stores going to be from? You know, it's just crazy.
I used self checkout at 7-Eleven yesterday.
I love it. In fact, I prefer to shop at places. Sam's Club is the best because you just do it as you shop.
I will not use the self checkout. I'm sorry. Do you know that is literally how they're popping people? Right? Because how are you going to be like, no, I didn't steal that? It's your word against their word.
But
they got cameras, Jen.
They got you right there because they're scanning you when you walk out the door.
I mean, we called an employee.
I mean, honestly, my favorite is when I'm walking out of Walmart and the lady or the nice young 25-year-old is sitting there going through my receipt like I'm stealing. No, you have to go through every single thing on my 100-item receipt. Cool. Thank you.
I just get a nod and a wave.
They
I think
do
it's
that.
the glasses, y'all.
It
The
depends how
glasses
you're
get you
dressed.
far.
Just depends how you're dressed.
Glasses too. Glasses
And
make you seem
glasses.
like you're very trustworthy.
Yeah.
I don't like self checkout, and I fight against it because I want a discount.
I do.
If you're saving money
wrong with
by
you
not
guys?
having baggers, now you're not paying any baggers, then give me a discount for doing that. I'm
Well,
doing some work.
you
And
know,
the other thing is, Jen, yes, calm down is now a trigger phrase. You cannot use that anymore because it's disrespectful.
To who, Kelly?
I mean, I feel it though. I came in to go shopping, and I didn't come in to clock in for a clerk's job.
Wait, who is calm down disrespectful to? That doesn't make sense.
No, calm down. If you tell somebody to calm down, it's disrespectful to the other person and puts them on the defense. I'm saying that's the new thing. Calm down is not a good phrase to use.
well,
I'll
I mean,
tell you what.
it would have
You've
been
never pissed off a
offensive.
woman and then told her to calm down, Matt?
Dude, it would have been
Calm down.
offensive if I told her to open her eyes when she was talking to me. Okay, that would have been offensive.
Oh, that's so good.
Let me tell you something, Kelly. When my husband and I get into a fight and he tells me to calm down, it sends me through the freaking roof.
she didn't call her.
See?
I totally told her to calm down on purpose because she was acting a freaking going loony.
Well,
Okay,
we
you
didn't call
want to come at me
Erica.
like that? Let's do this.
Don't yell at me, Asian lady, unless you can open your eyes as big as you open your mouth.
All I know is I don't want to see Jen get into a fight with anybody.
I do.
No, I ain't messing with Jen. Nope. Love you,
All right.
Jen.
All right,
Oh
let's
my
go
god, you
back
should have
and
heard
talk a
me in the
little.
car today yelling at this landscaping guy who wouldn't stay in his lane. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. You had a day, didn't you?
Oh, I've had a time.
She did. She came on here like she came on
Ready
here
to
hot.
go.
Yeah.
No,
Ready to
honestly,
go.
it's why I haven't been sitting in here because I can't stand to go through this count document again. So if you're gonna read again, I'm leaving. Bye.
Later, Jen. Well, thanks for coming
We're
in.
almost done. We're almost done. So
I don't need
then
to be triggered
Check
any
out the
more than I
Trimpolio
already
later.
am.
I'll ping you when we're done reading and you can come back.
Well,
It would have paired perfect with the garlic bread had it not been
Oh
GMO.
my god.
seriously,
Seriously.
look up Bill Gates and bioengineered butter, and I swear to God.
I mean, honestly, Chris, if I wanted to see titties, I'd look at porn. Not
Don't give anybody any ideas, Jen.
Too late.
Oh my god. All right.
He treats it like it's
He's gross.
Daddy's at a 5-star Michelin restaurant.
no, like what is it? If it tastes like butter, but it's not, it's chiffon. Yeah, it's whatever.
Country crock.
But like when they give you alligator below the I-10 down in that southern land you talking about, and they telling me it's tasting like chicken, it clearly not chicken.
Everything
It
tastes
does
like
taste a little
chicken.
bit like chicken.
Frog
A little
leg,
bit.
alligator.
It's like fishy chicken.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Ugh, that shit's gross. Olean. All right. So encourages supporters to organize armed protests to intimidate election administrators or directly disrupt ballot counts, declare martial law. Okay, so we got that. Okay. There will also be situations where administrative barriers create delays in Trump's favor. For example, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Pennsylvania changed its voting rules and adopted a process for counting a large number of paper ballots. As a result, the state took several weeks to count the 2020 primary ballots. It may simply not be possible for Pennsylvania to complete a presidential ballot count before the safe harbor deadline because the state has been prevented by Republican lawsuits from beginning the count of paper ballots before November 3rd. If a ballot isn't counted before December 8th, there's no do-over, even if the delay was a result of illegal action by the Trump campaign. We want to be clear. In bold, it says, what matters most in this period may not be how many ballots are counted, but public perception of the integrity of the election. Republican legislators can send slates of electors to Congress even if Trump loses the popular vote in their state. And a state's electors can even meet on their own and send a record of their votes to Congress independent of the governor or the state's legislator. Winning the ballot count by preventing Democrats' votes from being counted is a political tactic, not a legal strategy. Public perception of who won a given state may matter more to Republicans in a power struggle over elector slates than who actually won the December 8th ballot count. If Trump loses a complete ballot count, but the public believes that he lost because of fraud, he has achieved his goal. If, on the other hand, Trump wins an illegitimate and incomplete ballot count, but the public knows that Trump cheated to take the lead, we still have a chance to stop him. Republican legislators will be far less likely to intervene in the election if a huge majority of Americans understand that Trump lost and is trying to steal the election. Even federal judges and the Supreme Court are sensitive to public pressure. And if it is clear that the country is unified in outrage at what Trump is doing, it's unlikely that even conservative judges will save his doomed campaign. December 8th through December 14th, the Electoral College. By December 8th, all states are required to resolve disputes over which ballot to count and to complete their ballot count or risk having their Electoral College votes not counted by Congress. So we should expect a statewide vote total to be certified in every state by this date. States are allowed to complete their counts before this date, but December 8th is the deadline to ensure that their Electoral College votes are counted. The Electoral College meets to vote on December 14th. Before that happens, the governor of each state must notify Congress of which candidate won the state. Hopefully, every state will have finished a complete and accurate count of every ballot by December 8th, but we have to be prepared for a scenario in which some states only partially count their ballots because Republicans succeed in delaying and disrupting the count. If most of the ballots are counted and Biden holds the lead on December 8th, we can assume that Democratic governors will follow the rules and appoint Biden's electors. If, on the other hand, the counts have been sufficiently disrupted and Trump holds an illegitimate lead in the count at this date, Republicans will pressure the Democratic governor to appoint Trump's electors to the Electoral College. Even Democratic governors may be tempted to appoint Trump's electors if he holds an illegitimate lead in the count on December 8th. We can't let that happen. In any fair game, cheating disqualifies you. Our election should operate on the same standard. If Trump takes the lead by preventing all of Biden's voters' ballots to be counted from being counted, the Democratic governor in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and or Wisconsin must appoint Biden's electors to the Electoral College. If they cave to Republican pressure not to, we lose and Trump gets to steal the election. How will we know Biden won if all the votes aren't counted? Pre-election polls have consistently shown Biden in the lead in key swing states, so it's very unlikely that Trump will win a majority of the votes in these unless he cheats and stops a large number of Democratic voter ballots from being counted. Pre-election polls shouldn't be used to decide the winner of the election. That responsibility is reserved to each state's governor and ultimately Congress. But if Trump prevents us from counting all of the ballots, the pre-election polls can give us some indication of whether Trump won a state legitimately or through fraud. Further, if Trump succeeds in preventing all of the ballots from being counted before December 8th, Democrats should demand that the count continue after the safe harbor deadline. Ballots counted after December 8th may not be included in the official statewide count, but even a complete unofficial record proving that Joe Biden won can be taken into account by Congress when it counts Electoral College votes on January 6th. However, if the count is never completed, the uncomfortable truth is that we won't be able to prove for certain that Biden won. There are two reasons why Democratic governors should nonetheless move swiftly to appoint Democratic electors if Trump disrupts the ballot count. See, they're called Democratic electors or competing electors. They're not called fraudulent electors then. First, appointing electors doesn't mean that Biden will be awarded the state's electoral college votes when the votes are counted. It is up to Congress to count votes and make the final decision about who won the state. Even if it is not yet clear which candidate won the majority of the votes in a contested battleground state, sending a slate of Biden electors to Congress gives Congress the option to determine that Biden was the valid winner. Appointing Biden's electors, even though it's not yet certain that Biden won, is an unusual action to take, but it is fully justified and necessary if the count hasn't been completed because Trump and his allies deliberately prevented the ballots from being counted. In that scenario, the only responsible thing for a governor to do is give Congress more time to consider which candidate is the rightful winner by giving it the option to award the state's electoral vote to Biden. Second, if Trump disrupts the...
Didn't Trump get indicted for participating in having slates of electors that
were there in case they did want to award it to him?
Yeah, right. So,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
just so in case people are confused about this December the 14th date that they keep throwing around here, because December the 14th date, that date is not set in stone. Okay. The actual date is the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December. So that date changes. Not all
So
of
it's
December.
the third Monday of the month.
It's the first Monday after the second Wednesday.
So if the first is a Wednesday, then it wouldn't be the third Monday of the month. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Appointing Biden. Let's see.
It used to be December the 12th, and then they passed this,
See, this whole thing is on the preference that there's no way in hell Trump can win legitimately. That's their whole
Right. I know. They
preface.
don't even
Don't even address the
take it into
fact that
account.
he actually won, right? He won
Right.
fair and square.
It's all about that public perception, though. Even brutal dictatorships hold sham elections and report vote counts that reportedly show the dictator winning a majority of the votes. That doesn't mean that the dictator is democratically elected. The only ballot count that counts is the one that's fair and free. If it becomes impossible to hold a fair and free election because Trump disrupts the ballot count, Democrats must take every available action to prevent him from usurping the presidency. American democracy can only survive if our leaders want it to. That is so stupid.
We don't
A presidential
democracy.
Exactly. A presidential candidate who takes premeditated action to usurp the presidency, circumvent the will of the people, undermine our institutions, and short circuit democratic processes ceases to be a legitimate presidential candidate and becomes a threat to the American people. Such a candidate cannot be allowed to win.
So Biden should not have won. He's illegitimate.
Exactly. No, I think that we need to erase the 46th president.
Yep. Or put
Trump's
asterisk.
goal in this phase. What?
I think
Asterisk after his name.
Trump should let the auto pen sign an executive order that takes Biden off of the out of the presidency.
I do too. I think absolutely it should happen. But I don't think he needs an auto pen. I think he should sign it with one of his big old fat Sharpie markers. Trump's goal in this phase is to ensure that no matter how many votes he wins or which ballots are counted, electors meet on December 14th, vote for him, and send a record of their votes to Congress. This phase of the fight is likely to be confusing, but the most important thing to remember is that Congress makes the final decision about which electoral college votes to count and which ones to discard. The Constitution gives Congress the power to decide if a slate of electors was legally or illegally appointed. There are three important scenarios that may result in Congress needing to use its power to settle disputes about electors. First, a governor may not award the state's electors to the candidate who won the most votes. That governor may act unilaterally to send a different candidate's slate of electors to Congress. Second, no matter who wins the election or what the governor does, the state legislatures may convene and vote to appoint a second competing slate of electors, who will then vote for the candidate to which they are pledged. Third, a given candidate's electors may meet without being authorized by either the governor or the legislature, vote, and send a record of their vote to Congress, even if their candidate lost the election. To be very clear, these actions may be illegal or merely outrageous and unfair, but that doesn't mean they won't happen. All three of these things happened before. In these scenarios, majorities in Congress can act decisively and decide which electoral college votes count. The specific trigger for a constitutional crisis is if, in a state that Biden wins, Trump's electors, likely illegally appointed by the state legislature, meet, vote for Trump, and send a record of their votes to Congress. This may happen after the Democratic governors in contested states certify that Biden won the election, or Trump and his allies may act preemptively. In either case, once two groups of electors have met and voted in the same state on December 14th, the battle moves to Congress, which makes the final determination of who the next president is. Action steps between November 3rd and December 14th for Democratic officials everywhere. Biden must not concede. Unless it is clear that Biden lost a fair election, Democratic officials must publicly call on Biden not to concede. If Biden concedes, we all lose and millions of voters' voices will never be heard. Declare victory. Unless it's clear that Biden lost, immediately declare that Biden will be the winner once all of the ballots are counted. Elected officials should also advocate for every vote to be counted. But we will be at a major disadvantage if Trump declares victory while we say it's not clear who won, or that we should let the process play out. We have to say that Biden is the winner and that the final count will prove that. All the polls and what we know about the blue shift indicate Biden will be the eventual winner of a fair vote count, even if Trump leads in the election night count. It is essential Trump not be allowed to entrench the narrative that he won while Biden and his allies wait for the process to play out. Call out Republican fraud. Cry foul as soon as Trump or the Republican attempt to disrupt the vote count and appoint fraudulent electors. Explain that what Trump and his allies are doing is an attempt to steal the election. Protect ballots. Democrats must do everything to limit to the limit of their power to ensure a full and accurate count of all ballots, in person and mail-in, including physically preventing right-wing militias from halting vote counting and continuing any Republican delayed vote counts after December 8th until they are complete. Protect the First Amendment. Democrats must defend the rights of pro-democracy protesters in the streets and also in and around government buildings. This includes not prosecuting nonviolent protesters and or bringing charges against federal agents who break local law by harming or kidnapping protesters. Wait, what?
Oh my God.
This includes,
I'm sorry.
are you kidding me? This includes not prosecuting nonviolent protesters and or bringing charges against federal agents who break local law by harming or kidnapping protesters. Join protests and make your presence known by alerting reporters and posting pictures and videos on your social media accounts. Wow. Rally the public. Democrats must say clearly that this battle will be unlike anything we have seen in our lifetimes and that extraordinary measures may be required to prevent authoritarian rule. Speak out against Republican election fraud. If Trump succeeds in preventing all of the ballots from being counted before the December 8th deadline and an incomplete vote count shows him leading Biden, Democrats must make it clear that Trump didn't win and that he committed fraud. They must explain to the American people that committing fraud disqualifies him from winning, and that the only way to honor the will of the people is to appoint Biden electors, even if a complete ballot count is no longer possible. For Democratic officials in swing states, count the ballots. Demand that the ballot count be completed, even if it must continue after December 8th, so that Congress can take the complete results of the election into consideration when deciding which slate of electors to count in January. The American people deserve to know who won every single state and by how many votes. Protect ballots. Democrats must do everything in the limit of their powers to ensure that the accurate count of all ballots, in person and mail-in, including physically preventing right-wing militia from halting vote counting and continuing any Republican delayed vote counts after December 8th until they are complete.
All right. So
Go ahead.
you were a precinct captain, right?
Yeah.
So the largest possible precinct is about 3,000 people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if everybody in a precinct voted in a general election, 3,000 people, how possibly long could it take to count?
I mean, really,
3,000 votes.
Seriously, it is.
I mean, if you had like 10 people, how long would it take you to count 3,000 votes?
I mean, a couple hours maybe.
Okay. So how is it that we can't figure out how to count votes on election day?
We can. We just have had the power taken away from us.
I remember, Reagan going to bed by like 11 o'clock. And all the, they were still have an election in Hawaii and he knew if he won or not. I mean, it's not rocket science. You didn't have to worry whether the votes were going to come in from Honolulu and Anchorage to determine whether you were president. It's sad.
Well, I think it's really sad that they basically
when Reagan
convinced
was
us.
president, they didn't, the internet existed, but it wasn't in public use. It was only in use by the military and some universities.
Well, I mean, it's just absolutely, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we can't go back and perform something that we've done for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Like, it's just stupid.
But don't you remember Common Core math?
And there's
was
no reason
introduced?
that each precinct cannot count their ballots in a matter of hours.
Ballots, and you call into
All right, so governors, if it becomes impossible to complete a ballot count by December 8th. What?
Could you hear Chris? Because Chris was talking.
Yeah, that's fine. I was done.
Oh, okay.
He broke up there a little bit, Chris. Sorry. Congress has the option of giving the state's electoral college votes to Biden. State legislatures use every procedural tactic available to stop Republicans from voting to appoint Trump electors. If it's not possible to stop them, to try to violent protesters in taking over the building. If you can't stop the vote, boycott it to deny quorum, or at the very least, signal the vote isn't legitimate. Investigations. State and local authorities should open investigations into right-wing militias and illegal actions by Republicans to suppress the vote and prevent ballots from being counted. Investigation. For people everywhere, protest. Don't wait for advocacy groups, Biden's campaign, or the Democratic Party to take the lead. Organize protests in your community immediately. Prepare yourself for the long haul. Sustained daily pressure will be required until Trump publicly concedes or leaves office. Organize. Connect with all groups you are part of, political, civic, professional, religious, work-based, and implore them to join you in public protest. We need participation by people from all walks of life if we want to demonstrate that the public will not tolerate Trump's fraud. Hold teach-ins, political education. Use this guide to educate others in the community about how the process works between November 3rd and January 20th, where the levers of power are and how everyone can play a role in stopping Trump and the Republicans from stealing the election. Local elected officials, urge your city and county governments to pass a resolution denouncing Trump and the Republicans for attempting to overturn the results of the election. We need local elected officials in every community in the country to express solidarity with the protesters. Congress, use your representative and senators to open investigations into Trump and the Republicans' efforts to prevent every vote from being counted. Law enforcement, call your police chief, county sheriff, and local National Guard bureau and urge them to protect protesters' First Amendment rights. Specific things you can ask for include protect protesters from right-wing militia and give them medical care if they are injured. Do not use chemical weapons, tear gas, pepper spray, rubber bullets, or crowd control measures intended to induce pain or discomfort. Do not arrest nonviolent protesters. Do not use surveillance technology to identify protest participants or to spy on organizers, and do not open investigations into protest leaders. District attorney and county prosecutors. Your district attorney and county prosecutor decides who to charge with a crime, what to charge them with, and what plea offers to make, and what sentence to seek. Prosecutors have the power to decline to prosecute any protester and to prosecute federal agents who break the law. Call them and urge them to do so. Board of Elections. Call your local Board of Elections and urge them to make a complete, impartial, and timely count of all ballots cast in the election. Federal courts. Call the federal district and circuit courts that serve your community as well as the Supreme Court. Urge them to respect a fair and impartial process of counting ballots and not to intervene on Trump's behalf. For people in contested swing states, your governor. If Republicans make it impossible to count every ballot or move to appoint illegitimate electors, call on your governor to honor the will of the people by sending a Biden slate of electors to Congress. Your state legislators, call your state legislators and tell them not to appoint fraudulent electors to the Electoral College. Write to your local paper. Send a letter to the editor of your local paper calling for every ballot to be counted and denouncing Republican efforts to disrupt and delay the count. Local government. Urge your city and county governments to pass a resolution calling for every ballot to be counted and denouncing Republican efforts to disrupt and delay the count. Board of Elections. Organize rallies at your local Board of Elections and call on election officials to count every ballot. If there is a process to do so, volunteer to help cure ballots, which often involves collecting additional information from voters who were forced to vote provisionally or whose vote by mail ballots need additional verification. Mayor and city council members. Ask your local elected officials to take their case to the local media, appearing on television, radio, and in print, declaring victory for Joe Biden, and explain how Trump and Republicans are delaying the count in order to try and steal the election.
That's another thing. This curing of ballots. That's bullshit.
What is that?
That's if you go vote, okay, and you mark you're supposed to vote for no more than 2, okay, and there's 5 people, and you voted for 3 accidentally, or if you voted for Joe Biden and President Trump, then you can go in and correct your ballot. That's bullshit. If you're too stupid not to know who you were going to vote for, or you screwed your ballot up because you're too stupid to know how to vote. It's like going to the post office and putting your letter in the box and not putting a stamp on it. Well, the shit's going to come back. Too bad. You had your shot. And I'm sorry. But you don't it's like taking a test and you got an F, but now you get to go back and make it a C. That's bullshit.
Oh, it's like the stock trade on the assassination attempt. He got the do-over. Janie and I were talking about that
I
today.
mean, it's like you sold Apple, okay, and it lost.
I sold Nvidia and I want a
Yeah,
do-over.
right.
I'm getting a snack, so I'm taking a break.
So that I'm sorry. This is all very frustrating for me.
I know, but it's good to get it. You need to get it out there. People need to know what happened because 2026 is going to be real
And
slippery.
wasn't there instances that on the ballot it wasn't clear which one they picked, so they were going in and marking it Biden because it wasn't clear, or if it was blank?
They had
Yeah,
sequential number ballots that weren't even like folded or like
yeah.
damaged at all. They were perfectly
doing
crisp.
what was Johnny Carson's deal on tonight?
Oh, he put the envelope to his head
Right,
and said what was in the envelope.
right.
I predict this is Biden. I mean, but isn't it illegal when earlier in the document it said that encourage you to send a slate of Biden,
Yeah,
a Biden slate, even if it wasn't counted or wasn't complete, or go ahead and send the slate.
Yeah, they would
for
cure
Biden.
the ballot for you, okay, if they couldn't get in touch with you to get you to come
Yes.
in
Uh-huh.
because they knew what your intent was.
Well, if you were dead too, they couldn't get a hold of you. So, that made it difficult to get a hold of you. So they'll mark it.
Or if you voted in Missouri and you moved to Indiana and you voted in Indiana too.
Right.
We've got like 4 pages left, but
Yeah, this is the meaty
I had
part.
to get
This
a
is
snack.
January 6th.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to read for a second? Don't all like volunteer at once.
Where's Matt when you need him?
He's at another space.
Let Pepe read.
Yeah, Pepe, you read.
I'll read. Did you notice the last time I tried to open up the mic and then go to another application?
All right, I'll go back to reading in a minute.
I can't even read you a Bible verse from another app with the mic open, and it throws me into the matrix.
I'm going right
I mean,
now.
I can in a few minutes. I'm not at the dock right now.
Hang on, I'm right here. All right, so January 6th, Congress and the Electoral College count. On January 3rd, each newly elected and re-elected member of the Senate and House of Representatives is sworn in and seated, and the 117th Congress begins. It's the 117th Congress, not the current Congress, which meets on January 6th in a joint session held in the House chamber to count the Electoral College votes and choose the next president. The current Vice President, Mike Pence, presides over this joint session. The best case scenario is that the count in Congress is largely ceremonial, as it has been in presidential elections going back for over a century. And the candidate who legitimately won the election is awarded the most Electoral College votes. But we must prepare for other scenarios, including a Republican state legislature sends a competing slate of electors to Congress, forcing Congress to choose between Democratic governor's slate of electors and the Republican legislator's slate of electors, or to discard both. Wait, so why does the Democratic governor get to send a slate of electors and the Republican legislator's slate of electors?
Right. They got to send in alternates and stuff. That's fine for the Democrats because.
Right, but Chris said that the governor didn't have anything to do with it.
The Secretary of State is supposed to certify the election and send the vote to Congress to be counted. That the vote of the Electoral College, which happens in the states. They don't actually go to Washington, D.C.
All right, so these are the scenarios.
They meet in the state capitals and then they vote. Okay, and then the vote, the certified votes are sent, generally speaking, by the Secretary of State. The governors ceremoniously will sign off on some of them. Okay, but the governors don't pick the electors; they're picked by the parties.
Right.
Sometimes
so
a Republican by the parties. Okay, like central committees and stuff.
Yeah. So a Republican governor in a state with a Republican legislature, for example, Florida, appoints a slate of Trump electors even though Biden won the state's popular vote. Biden's electors in that state respond by voting for Biden and sending a record of their vote to Congress. Congress must then decide whether to accept one of the slates or discard both of them. In a state that Biden won, in which state officials, including the legislature, certified Biden as the winner through a legislative process, Trump's electors vote for Trump, and send a record of their vote to Congress. Congress must then decide whether to accept one of the slates or discard both of them. In any of the scenarios above, Mike Pence asserts that he alone has the authority to determine which candidate won the most Electoral College votes and asserts that he and Trump are the winners. The Supreme Court agrees to consider legal challenges to the validity of the certificate of ascertainment submitted by Democratic governors. The Supreme Court agrees to consider legal challenges to the Electoral Count Act or to any other process Congress uses to resolve a dispute over electors. A Republican-controlled Senate votes to award the majority of the electors to Trump, while the Democratic-controlled House votes to award the majority of the electors to Biden. The Constitution doesn't prescribe a process for resolving a dispute over electors. The Electoral Count Act of 1887 offers some guidance, but legal scholars disagree about how to interpret it. In the past, we've counted on respect for institutions and precedent to navigate around issues of governance not clearly delineated in the Constitution, but we cannot count on that with Trump. For example, Trump and his administration have flat out refused to comply with subpoenas from Congress. He's even promised to pardon officials who break the law under his orders. The Electoral Count of 1887. After the contested 1876 election, Congress passed a law called the Electoral Count Act, which was intended to create a clear process for resolving disputes over electors. Unfortunately, the law is famously vague, convoluted, and difficult to interpret. We aren't legal scholars, and it is far beyond the scope of this guide to fully summarize the legal debates about the Electoral Count Act. For our purposes, there are several things worth noting. First, the Electoral Count Act is virtually untested in court and has never been used to resolve a contested election. Second, it's unclear how or whether the Supreme Court would intervene to interpret the law. Third, some scholars argue that the law itself is unconstitutional or unenforceable. Fourth, if there is a dispute over electors, each chamber of Congress meets separately to vote to determine what to do about the competing slate of electors. If both chambers agree, it's generally accepted that their concurring decision will determine how to count the votes in question. This makes it more likely that Democrats will win a congressional fight if they win back a majority in the Senate and as they seem likely to do, hold their majority in the House. If the chambers disagree, most scholars argue that electoral votes certified by a state's governor should be counted and the competing votes should be discarded. In a fight over electors, it's most likely that a Democratic governor will have appointed Biden electors, so this interpretation is most likely to favor Biden. Some scholars, however, argue that both slates should be discarded. If that happens, it's unclear whether the total number of electoral college votes needed to win is reduced from 270, or if it is still necessary to get 270 to win. Fifth, how the Electoral Count Act is used to resolve a contested election will be inherently political. The lack of legal or congressional precedent leaves a lot of room for Congress and the Supreme Court to interpret the law in a way that responds to the mood of the country. If public opinion is overwhelmingly on our side, it's more likely that the law will be interpreted in a way that prevents Trump from stealing the election.
Opinion. Wait, no. Sorry.
Right.
Feelings. I feel that this should happen. Oh, okay. Thanks.
Right. Exactly. A law like the Electoral Count Act of 1887 can only settle a dispute over electoral outcome if all parties agree to act in good faith, observe norms, and follow precedent. In a contested election, Republicans in Congress won't give a thought to the valid interpretation of the law or norm of congressional conduct. Trump and his Republican allies have shown that they are willing to exploit not just procedures, but the law itself for political outcomes. If they have succeeded in keeping the outcome of the election in dispute on January 6th, they will advocate whichever far-fetched and unprecedented interpretation of the Constitution and federal law makes it most likely that Congress will count Trump's electoral college votes and discard Biden's.
The Democrats have never, ever, ever done anything that's been against the Constitution.
Right. I don't even think that any of them have read it. Like I was watching, what's her name? Jasmine Ratchet. She's talking about, this is against the Constitution. And it had nothing to do with that. She sounded stupid. And I was thinking to myself, I bet you that bitch hasn't even read it.
She's gerrymandered out, so it doesn't matter.
I know. I'm so excited about that. Bye. And I don't think we'll be letting her back in. All right. Democrats and their allies prefer to hold themselves above the political fray in situations like this. Okay. Delegating the fight to their legal teams while making proclamations about letting the process work. If Democrats act like legal scholars while Republicans fight a guerrilla war to make Trump the president at any cost, Democrats will risk losing a presidency despite winning the majority of the electoral votes at the polls. Woo! Because we are like gorillas and they are just above all of that. They're so classy. What about the Supreme Court? No one knows if the Supreme Court would intervene in a congressional fight over electoral college votes, but it is not inconceivable that it would. In fact, the president and his allies have repeatedly invoked this scenario in arguing about the successor or the late Associate Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg must be confirmed before Election Day. There's a misconception that the count makes objective decisions about the law. This is wrong. I'm sorry, the court. The court makes objective decisions about the law. This is wrong. The court has become increasingly ideologically divided, but at the same time sensitive to public perception and pressure, and its decisions can be shaped by public opinion. The Bush v. Gore decision badly damaged its reputation and undermined the legitimacy of the court. If the Supreme Court intervenes in the 2020 election, we need to to put overwhelming public pressure on it not to rule on Trump's behalf. If it does, Democrats must be prepared to adapt their strategy, abandon its institutionalist preference, and continue the fight to prevent Trump from becoming president, even if it means going public with growing concerns about the court's legitimacy. I mean, you're not supposed to intimidate the judges. Like that's not you're not allowed to put pressure on them.
You
You're
mean
not
like
supposed to
doxing
be
them and showing up to their homes and rioting? You mean something like that?
and threatening them from outside of their
Exactly.
building.
Then yeah, we have a separation of powers for a reason. The courts are not supposed to be involved in politics.
Yeah, and senators aren't supposed to sign documents for the president.
Are you referring to the senator from Massachusetts?
Pocahontas, yes.
Well, she had an auto pen.
I know. And I'm wondering how much she paid. Like, was it like a buy a ticket, ride the ride kind of thing? Like, oh, I've scheduled to use the auto pen on Thursday, October 14th at 3:37 p.m. and I get to use it for a whole hour, and it only cost me $50,000. Was that what it was like?
Maybe the Lincoln bed.
I mean,
Link,
can I schedule some time
the
for the
Lincoln
auto pen?
bedroom. Clinton's got more than that for
Let
the
me in
Lincoln
there.
bedroom, but yeah.
All right. Democrats have to understand two things to win a fight over electors. What's that?
I said the Clintons got more than that for the Lincoln bedroom, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh gosh, gross. Still think that place needs to be like, I don't know, throw some freaking lime on it or something. I don't know. It needs to, like, a hazmat crew needs to go in there. Gross. Desecrating history. Ugh. All right. First, Republicans will not compromise, act in good faith, give any consideration to national unity or the stability of the country, or attempt to follow the law. Their only objective will be to win at any cost. Second, in a battle of political will and raw power, whoever rallies the American people to their side will have a huge advantage in how the inside game plays out. If tens of millions of Americans protest, strike, commit mass civil disobedience, and demand an end to the Trump regime, Republicans will have a much harder time exploiting arcane processes to make Trump president, either through a vote in Congress or a ruling by the Supreme Court. The legitimacy of a democracy rests on the consent of the governed. If Trump and the Republicans try to destroy democracy and reorganize our government as an autocracy, our job is to withdraw that consent and shut the country down. We have to make it clear that if Trump usurps the presidency, he won't be able to govern or remain in office for long. Joe Biden and the Democrats in Congress must commit themselves to this strategy and rally the American people. If, like Gore in 2000, they urge the public to stand down and wait for the legal process to play out, Trump will have the advantage. We can't treat a congressional fight over which electoral college votes to count like a legitimate legal process. It's a coup, and we must act accordingly.
Wait, what?
Democrat.
Oh, so they would hold a riot, right, if Trump won? Oh,
Yes.
when
Yes.
riots and tear things down and have fires and, gee. And then they
So-
would all go to the gulag?
So-
Sorry, gulag.
Amazing.
President Trump still hasn't conceded the 2020 election.
He hasn't, has he?
No.
So this is his third term.
Well, that's unconstitutional. He's not following the law.
That's what happens when you cheat, bitches. All right. Democrats in Congress must use every constitutional, procedural, and political means necessary to delegitimize Trump's attempt to usurp the presidency, up to and including voting in unison against any Republican effort to count Trump's electoral college votes, ordering the sergeant at arms remove Republicans from the House chamber, boycotting the electoral college count, and staging protests inside of the Capitol to make it physically impossible for the Congress to meet. That was the section that I was just like,
Staging
wow.
protests inside the Capitol in order to make it impossible for the Congress to meet on January the 6th.
Isn't that interrupting official proceedings?
That would get you into the gulag.
If you're a Republican,
a first class ticket to solitary
Democrats
confinement.
are immune. Democrats, that's
Yeah,
beneath them.
it's
They don't go to the
different.
gulag.
It's
Sorry.
different when they're they're
Yeah,
doing it
it's
for,
different.
you know.
It's different because we're educated. They're
And it's
educated. Okay,
democracy, democracy now.
right. That's right. That's right. If Democrats in Congress can't win the fight to count Biden's lawfully chosen electors, then its strategy should be to delay the count and, if possible, prevent it from ever being completed. If the votes haven't been counted by January 20th, then Nancy Pelosi will be sworn in as the acting president. Throughout the fight, we must demand that Trump concede. We hope that none of this ever happens. If it does, even defeating Trump will badly damage our democracy. Repairing the damage will require a long period of national healing and reform to correct the flaws in our system that made it possible for an autocrat to attempt to overturn the results of the election. But anything is preferable to allowing Trump to seize the presidency by force.
Actually, that's what we're going through right now.
Yes, it is.
The period of healing.
That's right. And reform to correct the flaws in our system that made it possible for a dipshit to get into office.
And
All right. For Democrats in
repeat,
Congress.
Where are the 20 million votes?
That's right. Apparently, they've gerrymandered them right off of the freaking
The census
record.
found them.
They
found
found
right.
them. That's right. They were in that. Were they in burn bags?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with that one. All right. So for Democrats in Congress, use procedural tactics to delay. Democrats have a wide variety of procedural maneuvers they can use to slow down congressional proceedings, especially in the Senate. They should use every procedural tactic possible to shut down Congress. Call a House recess and delay the count. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi should declare that the House is in recess and order the Sergeant at Arms to remove Mike Pence and members of Senate from the chamber. The House should refuse to convene until Trump concedes. Delay seating incoming senators. 35 Senate seats are up for election in 2020. Those senators will need to be seated before they can vote on a dispute over electors. Before the Senate seats those incoming senators, Democrats will briefly have a 35-30 majority. If Democrats don't win a majority in the Senate in this election, Democrats should delay the seating of those senators until after the joint session to count electoral college votes, ensuring that the Democrats have a majority in the Senate during the joint session. That's fucked up. Organize and participate in mass civil disobedience at the Capitol. Lead the public in staging mass civil disobedience protests in the Capitol with the goal of making it impossible for Congress to meet or vote.
Motive.
Deadlock is...
That's motive.
Yeah. Deadlock is...
if they had done this and we had like one senator with a set, just one, and Pelosi continued to be the speaker, one senator by himself could hold the entire process hostage and just destroy everything.
How so?
Because in the Senate, it takes unanimous consent to do anything.
Unless it's like a reconciliation or what was it?
Yeah, but anything else, they would have to change the rules of the Senate.
All right, so Biden must not concede. Once the fight moves to Congress, Biden should refuse to concede under any circumstances unless a complete and fair ballot count proves that Trump is the legitimate winner. Refer to Trump as a would-be autocrat, not a candidate. Do not grant Trump legitimacy by referring to him as a candidate. If the fight moves to Congress, we are fending off a coup by Trump and his allies, not settling a legitimate dispute over a presidential election. Call on Republicans in Congress to vote against Trump. We will only need a handful of Republicans in the Senate to vote for democracy instead of Trump. Publicly and vocally back any tactics Democrats in Congress must use. Democrats may have to use unprecedented procedural tactics to block Trump's presidency, and they will need public support. Your constituents look to you for leadership, especially in a crisis. And it's your job to explain why Democrats are justified in taking extraordinary measures to prevent Trump from usurping the presidency. Call on the military to remain neutral and reject illegal orders. Some people may call on the military to remove Trump from office. We should unequivocally oppose this and urge military leaders to remain neutral while civilians settle the outcome of the elections and to reject illegal orders from Trump. For people everywhere, shut down the country. As the fight moves to Congress, we have to bring the country to a complete halt with massive protests, civil disobedience, and strikes. We must remain in the streets and engaged in mass civil disobedience until Trump is removed from the White House. March on Congress and the White House. Those who should go to Washington, D.C. to ensure there is massive presence that the Democrats and the media cannot ignore. Back the Democrats in Congress. Protests alone isn't sufficient. We need to use protests to support congressional Democrats' targeted strategies to prevent Trump from getting an electoral college majority. We have to balance a general anti-Trump message with a focused message supporting the fight in Congress. Pressure the Supreme Court to back Biden or remain neutral. Put public pressure on the Supreme Court to stay out of the fight in Congress unless it is to support Biden. The Supreme Court's first duty is the Constitution. In a fight with a would-be autocrat, no interpretation of the law that supports the autocrat's ambitions is valid. Trump must concede. Organize your community, your elected officials, local media, faith leaders, business owners, government officials, etc., to call on Trump to concede. Part 3, the conclusion, defending democracy. Quote, this may well be a street fight, not a legal battle. Technocratic solutions, courts, and reliance on elites observing norms are not the answer here. A show of numbers in the streets and actions in the streets may be decisive factors in determining what the public perceives as just and legitimate outcome. The Transition Integrity Project, preventing a disrupted presidential election and transition, August 3rd, 2020. As we write this, it seems likely that Biden will defeat Trump in the landslide. If that happens, Trump will have little choice but to accept the results of the election. He may not go quietly, but he'll go. But if Biden wins a narrow victory and Trump tries to overturn the results, we have to be psychologically prepared to act quickly, decisively, and we have to have a plan. We encourage you to share this guide with your friends, family, and community, to read it together and to decide now what you can do if Trump and his allies refuse to accept the results of the election. We've painted a bleak picture of post-election mayhem and subversion of democracy, but we can't afford to feel hopeless. Americans have faced greater challenges to our democracy, overcome them, and built stronger, more democratic institutions. Trump is weak and lacks political support. That's why he's losing. The only way he can win is if we don't understand the threat we face. We abandon the playing field after November 3rd, and we rely on the courts, laws, norms, and congressional procedures to save us. We all have a part to play. Elected officials at every level of government must do their part to ensure that we have a fair and free election. Speak out if Trump tries to disrupt the election and side with and protect pro-democracy protesters. The rest of us have to make sure they do their jobs and protest by the tens of millions and stay in the streets until Trump leaves office. America is a democracy because people have fought throughout its history to make it one. There's never been a time when our country wasn't threatened from within by people who prefer autocracy and oppression to democracy and freedom. We've defeated them before. We will do it again. Ugh, it just makes me feel sleepy.
Great job, Kim.
Thanks. What was your favorite part? Look at you with sound effects.
My
I
favorite
try
part,
not to do too much with it because I'll get kicked out.
my favorite part was when you said it made you feel disgusting.
It does. It's like I read this and I have a film in my mouth now.
Very good job reading it. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I like reading out loud. I was always that kid in school, be like, I'll read.
I mean, doesn't this make it so obvious that there were plans in the January 6th, whatever you want to call it? There were plans from the Democrats because they carried out exactly what was in this, right?
They did.
To the
They
Uh-huh.
did.
letter.
But
No, they absolutely did. And I mean, that's why I think it's
It was
important
it
to read this
it,
document every
it
year,
was an
couple of years.
insurrection. It was the worst possible thing that ever happened in our country since Civil
9/11.
War.
Right. You're right, Chris.
Since Grant took Richmond.
And we didn't even know.
How dare they walk through those?
The sad part is
My
that
bad.
half the country didn't even know what was happening, and then another half of the country didn't, like, just went about their day. It was like, oh, MAGA's attacking the Capitol. Okay.
Attacking the Capitol. Yes, how dare they walk down those hallowed halls single file?
I mean, when you were watching it real time, it was like they're filing through like it's a fucking field trip. I mean, anybody who watched that was the first thing that went to their mind. It's like it's a tour for the elderly.
Well, I thought that they were allowed to be in there because of the way that they were proceeding. I mean, to me, it was like, oh, they're letting them in. I
I mean,
guess they're allowed
who
in there.
who opened the Columbus doors? It's like, these doors are you got to have them. They mechanically have to be opened. It's not like somebody could just give them a little shove and they just pop open.
Well, they were told in this document to ignore, right? To not do anything, just step aside. So they were being doing what they were already told.
They
Don't
were told
interfere.
this Capitol Police got a stand down order.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It came from this document even said to do it.
Oh yeah, did you guys see that Sun was on Tucker again?
And this bitch who was running the show for the Capitol Police, who incidentally, while she was still running the show for the Capitol Police, okay, took all
Is Chris still talking? I can't hear.
Nancy.
I thought it was me.
Yeah, she went on a tour of a prestigious university where she became the head of security in Nancy Pelosi's district.
Are you talking about Anaconda Pittman or whatever her name is?
Yeah,
Anaconda Pittman?
right. Assistant Chief Pittman. Yeah, she was being paid by the Capitol Police and this university at the same time.
Well, I can't imagine how President Trump feels because I know how mad this makes me. And he's read through these documents.
Imagine if you were a member of Congress and you thought that your life was in danger knowing that you were set up.
I mean, brand new members, brand new. They've been there 3 days. This was their third day at work.
And and then still nobody's I don't know what to think about um the murders that took place.
What?
On January the 6th.
Oh, Ashley Babbitt and Roseanne Boylan and
I mean, Ashley Babbitt especially because, there's a conspiracy theory that says she's still alive, but
I thought you were talking about the Capitol Hill people that they said died that
oh
day.
no,
Yeah,
nobody
nobody
died.
died.
No Capitol Police people died on January the 6th. Absolutely none. But they still tell that lie. It's being told today. It was told last week. under oath in testimony.
Who told that?
That's
Who
perjury.
told that?
I believe it was a member of Congress.
What do you mean? They didn't have testimony last week. They're on break.
Someplace, they were maybe it was on in a interview or something.
Well, they're having town halls. Some of them are, and especially Democrats are trying to rally up hate.
But I mean, yeah, this 5 people died on January the 6th. It was spoken down by judges from the bench when they were sentencing people. I mean, it was ridiculous, and there was no evidence of that whatsoever. No tangible evidence. And you would think the prosecutions would correct the judge. Your Honor, please stop. It didn't happen. Be a legitimate legal person. You're an officer of the court. You're not supposed to allow a judge to go off the reservation. You're just not.
I mean, you know that we've had like no cases that have gotten to discovery. They have thwarted every case. Nobody has been able to present their freaking evidence. That's just maniacal.
Actually, 3 of them did get through, and 2 out of the 3 were won.
Well, yeah, they were won because they didn't have a case. But it was the prosecutor that ran that show, he needs to be disbarred. These judges that sat on those courts, some of them retired, that were running those courts. They need to be removed from the bench. I mean,
I think that's coming.
You can't really blame the jurors. I guess they did whatever they they were presented with what they were presented with, and they had to do what they had to do. But there is such a thing as jury nullification in this country.
Yes.
And if half of those defendants would have been black, you can bet your ass that they would have all gone free. But since they were all white and it was in DC, and they were all government employees, most of them. This is what you get. Your ad successfully processed. FYI.
Wait, what?
Your ad successfully processed.
Just for that at the end to see if I was listening.
I came out of left field. I'm like,
I caught it. I was like, wait a minute, what? I'll go out there and check it out. Oh, by the way, guys, Carla and I worked real hard. We got the bundles up and working, so you could go and get your Gulf of America shirts or hats or whatever. You get 4 things, whether it be a combination of t-shirts and hats, for $80. 5 things, I think, for $100, something like that. So
I will be putting the link up in the chat. Just give me a
beautiful
moment.
brand new
swag
store is open.
with
I
all
gotta
the
put
new
that in there
logo.
too.
And then Mr. Philby is going to teach me how to use it again so I can go in there and make welcome or keep your shit show to yourself. Shot glasses and phone cases and bathing suits.
Hi, Jen.
She's back. She's back. Yeah, that's really interesting that you said that about the, like, if there had been any black defendants. I don't know.
There were black people there.
Right. But they didn't.
I don't think any black people got charged. I don't know.
I
Maybe.
don't think so either.
Is welcome in here because Walter and Trash are freaking streaming on YouTube and I'm getting in trouble for swearing.
What?
Eh.
Oh my gosh.
They're really testing YouTube. Good luck with that.
Dude,
You can't say anything on YouTube.
anyways, apparently Kelly Loeffner just put out a thing that anybody debanked has to be reinstated by December 5th. However, I am still going to tell Bank of America to fuck themselves. Thank you.
You know,
Yeah, you got your bank now.
you know that they're debanking porn stars now.
I actually did know that.
That's just wrong. You just don't get to debank people because of what they do.
Yeah, this is a free country. Free speech is free speech.
I mean, they've literally targeted the porn industry, right? Like, listen, you might not like it, okay? But do you know how many hits go to porn sites every day?
Yeah.
And if that many hits went to news sites, we might be better off, but they're going to porn sites. And these women are making mad money, right? Like, if you have kids to care for, right? And, you're trying to freaking hump it as a waitress, it ain't gonna cut it in today's society. But you know what? The girl on OnlyFans pulling in, 10, 20, 30, $150,000 a month. Well,
She ain't
can't
on
really hate on
welfare.
her.
She's not on
She ain't
welfare.
on welfare. She taking care of her kids.
You got what are the statistics? You got 80,000 some odd people on OnlyFans and 150,000 customers, 80% of which are married.
I mean, listen, seems like a bigger problem.
I think that the real issue is that you've got a massive amount of hypocrisy going on, and the cover up is worse than the crime.
I mean, I just think it's funny that the people debanking porn stars are probably buying hookers at night. I'm just saying.
Sure are. Or children.
They're probably buying the people they're debanking.
That's messed up. Oh, there was something I was going to talk about today that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was. It was so good, though. Oh, I wanted to play that video. I'm going to go find that real quick.
Okay, well, how about Google having
Oh, that was what it
two-
was. That was what it was. Google Adreno.
Oh my God.
What the-
Google has two products, Google Adreno and Google Chrome.
What?
Google Adreno and Google Chrome. Put that together. What is it? Cup Adrenochrome. Whoa.
Why would you? Oh, that is just
Jacktron seems to think they're like
trolling.
but
That's
it's
not a
Google.
troll. That's not a troll. That's gross. I don't even know what to say about that.
I think that the people at Google have lost.
Oh, by the way, guys, make sure you visit AmericanMission.com because we have the new refreshed look and it looks amazing. Thank you, DT.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Yep. What she said.
DT
Yeah, fact
dubs. I'm getting there. I'm getting it. I'm gonna get it one of these days.
And you can get to all our streams we've been doing, plus our cool articles are out there.
Yeah, plus we're streaming to Substack.
Oh, that I am so excited about the Substack streaming. I'm telling you what, that is the coolest thing ever.
They're
It-
pretty competitive because like I said, after the live, it automatically creates a draft article that so you can post the live, and then it will for you post to YouTube and create shorts.
yeah,
for
it
you.
clips it for you.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. Meanwhile, X is like you got to go find it if you can find it. Can't scrape it. Can't do nothing with it. They don't transcribe it. That's for sure. So they write a summary article for you.
Well, no, they put the video in an article and just put one line in there. So I just fill it out with some text, right? And then I finish it up as an editor. Yep. And then I'll push out the whole thing to YouTube. And then doesn't always create shorts, but most of the time it does. So and then you go to YouTube and you put any missing information, and tags. But it's really cool. None of the others want to do that. So there.
Well, I'm glad that we didn't abandon Substack then.
All right, I've got this video. Okay, you got to hear this. Oh wait. Pause.
Same one from last week.
No, this is. Oh, I'm not that one yet. This is the older millennial guy, and he's just chewing on Ed Krasenstein.
They really do be posting shit like the rest of us aren't paying attention or don't even have access to Google. Trump posted on True Social, I paid $0 for Intel. It is worth approximately $11 billion. And old Ed Krasenstein here said, hey, Grok, is it true the U.S. paid nothing for their stake in Intel? That's not what Trump said. Trump said, I paid $0 for Intel. Talking about the 10% equity stake that the American people now have in the company Intel. See, because Biden gave them $7.5 billion. And he gave it to them as a grant. We weren't getting that money back. We were just giving Intel $7.5 billion and getting fucking nothing for it. And Trump said, no, let's convert that to an equity stake. Because the American people deserve to get their fucking money back. And now that 10% stake is worth $11 billion. So President Biden just gave them $7.5 billion of our dollars with no expectations, no requirements, no payback. Trump said, fuck that. He said, I want equity stake. And because he did that, not only have the American people recouped all the money we gave to Intel, but we also made an additional $3.5 billion. Biden gives our money away, and Trump not only gets our money back, but makes us more, and liberals are fucking complaining about it? Do you know how fucking stupid you have to be mad at a president for making you $3.5 billion? Oh, wait, no, I know how stupid you got to be.
He's pointing at Ed Krasenstein's post. It's great. It's like my favorite video today. I mean, how stupid do you have to be? They will try to attack him any which way they can. It's just retarded.
Yeah, Krasenstein showed up in my feed for the first time, I think, in about 6 months.
Yeah, I've just been they've been replaced by Gavin Newsom. When his all cap posts, those are always in my feed now. I'm like, get out of my feed. I don't need you. Hey, Adam. Adam, Bob Adam, Banana Fana, Bob Adam.
He requested I brought him up.
What did you say, Adam?
I said, what's up?
What's
I'm driving,
up?
sorry.
Did you see that video the older millennial put out earlier today?
No, sorry, I
They
missed
really
it.
do be posting shit like the
Oh.
rest of us aren't paying.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hit play again. He was just totally chewing on Ed Krasenstein. It was fantastic. What's going on with the American Academy of Pediatrics and all of that stuff with the kids, like the jab and stuff? Yeah. That they're still pushing back. They're trying to go around They are aggressively recommending COVID-19 vaccines for infants as young as 6 months, declaring a child's first encounter with COVID should be with the shot, not with the virus. This is just misinformed. This isn't just negligent. This is malicious.
It's attempted murder.
Yeah. It is a deliberate policy that ignores the global data on myocarditis, pericarditis, and other severe risks to the young. It whitewashes the fact that vaccines were never tested against a true inert placebo. And I want you guys to hear this video. This one's crazy. I want to get to the crazy lady. Okay, here we go. Listen to this chick.
Parents should really stick the course and make sure that their children get all of the routine childhood vaccinations. And there will be more announcements coming from professional societies about this in the coming weeks. With respect to COVID vaccines, the American Academy for Pediatrics has reaffirmed that infants, children between the ages of 6 months and 2 years should get their COVID shots. The first encounter with COVID should be with the shot, not with the virus. There is still a very high risk in younger children, particularly 6 months to 2 years, for hospitalization and severe complications if they get COVID. And pregnant women should be getting the COVID vaccine. This is pregnancy is a state of immunosuppression. So it is for the protection of the mom, as well as the best way to protect the baby, both the fetus as well as the infant in their first 6 months of life.
I'm sorry, pregnancy is a state of immunosuppression is bullshit.
That bitch should be going to jail for spread.
Right?
I mean, seriously. How many miscarriages? How many stillbirths?
It went up 4,000%. 4,000%. Over that. It was like 4,570.
It's ridiculous. The number
So this was Del Bigtree's post, and he said there is no longer pediatrics. This is the Pied Piper in a lab coat, playing a tune paid for by Big Pharma, leading children toward known harm. Pediatricians of conscience, this is your moment. Will you follow the money, or will you stand for the oath you took to protect children? The soul of your profession is hanging in the balance.
How much money could you possibly get paid to kill your patients?
I mean,
A lot.
Yeah, they get paid $1 million a year, some of them.
Well, if you're going to sell your soul, you need to lose your license. And I think,
if not more.
I think maybe what needs to happen is that pressure needs to be put on state licensing boards, and we need to get away from pharma. And then the state licensing boards need to know that you're going to lose your job if you don't break bad on these people and start enforcing the actual science, which says this is bullshit.
I'll tell you, Kim. Well, we got the wedding on Friday, so I've been preparing. That's why I'm out and about shopping. I just got a new grill and extending my patio, but the kid's on the way, and I promise you, any doctor goes near that kid with a needle, it's for them, peacefully and patriotically.
Every single one of the women that I know that have small children, I have been going in and having the conversation. And I will tell you, it is a hard discussion to have. And there is a very strong resistance. This has been ingrained in people. This is the hill that they all are like.
How hard is it to have a discussion about a vaccine for a venereal disease that you personally know that you and your husband don't have and have never been exposed to?
And you can easily get tested to see if you have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know if you've got
Hep
B.
Yeah, you're sick.
you know if you have Hep B. And that child is only going to get it from one source.
I was at the pharmacy and I was looking at that HPV 9. What is it? No, what's it called? I was just reading the thing on it. And it's like helps with this, helps with this, helps with this, but it may not help with the same things that they just mentioned. Like what? And
it helps with
all
death
the side
too. It
effects
helps with
listed.
death.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, and then did they pull Gardasil off the market?
Nope.
No,
That's the
it's
one
still
that
on
I
the
was
market.
talking about.
They asked at when Aiden went in for his physical this time, they asked if he wanted the flu shot, the COVID shot, and the Gardasil. They were
Yeah,
going to give all three of them to him. I was like, you will not
Why
touch
would
my child with another shot.
give
He's
a young male Gardasil.
because men are the
It's
biggest spreaders of
45.
HPV. They are the biggest spreaders of HPV because there's no real.
I mean, why didn't they offer to hack his pee off?
They do.
Listen, I did not go to the doctor's appointment because I knew that I would, like, I said to JC, I was like, you don't want me there because I'm going to go crazy on these people if they freaking try to get us to do any more shots. My son has taken all of the shots that were required for school, and I'm super pissed about it.
I mean, Gardasil is like a death sentence.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're throwing it out there like candy.
It's provably a death sentence. It should have been off the market a decade ago. I mean, I have a friend with a teenage granddaughter who is got female issues because she got Gardasil. She just turned 19.
No, it's straight poison.
You know, and she is not unusual.
And they're still peddling it to teenagers, to middle schoolers.
It's insane. It should be off the market. It's the same thing as Roundup. Literally, in terms of deadliness. I mean, what do you have to do? How many people have to die? How many people have to get, you know, so effed up? You know, that you know, how many families have to be ruined, you know, before, you know, it's a problem.
Isn't the bottom line sterilization, reducing the population?
Well, I mean, you know, this is the kind of shit that causes people to go postal. This is the kind of shit that causes that. Yeah, and they wonder why that happens. They wonder what creates that syndrome. They bring it upon themselves. And this is the kind of shit that drives it. Because they put you in a position where you have no options. And then you don't care anymore.
It's all by design. It's no good. All right, I've got to go get my son ready for bed and have some discussions with him because I haven't really talked to him because I was doing this all night. So
yeah, I gotta go too. Kim, thank you very much. You want to play that video before you go?
Oh yeah. Where is it again?
It should be in your personal DM.
Okay, I got it. Hang on.
So,
Let's
Chris,
do
I
that.
put the swag up in the Jumbotron. So you both have the swag link and the merch link, guys. Purchase something, please.
New swag or be looking good.
Yeah, it looks real good.
I had a really neat video of the Krasenstein brothers talking about something called the Resistance, but for some reason the file's corrupted at 6 seconds.
Huh. Go figure.
Did you text it to me?
Yeah, it was regular text.
I'm not at my iPad. You send it to my DM on here? Yeah, please. In the meantime, what do we got going on for the rest of the week? This is our last week, guys, where Congress is not in session because they come back after Labor Day, and the shit show circus continues. God.
Yep, that bill, what is it? The section 453.
Yep.
And that's going to be going next week. They're going to try and push that through.
They have 15 working days to pass. They have 2 appropriation bills that they've passed. They have 10 more to go, and they got to try and do it in 15 days. I really do think that we should organize a decentralized protest at your local congressman's office on a certain day at a certain time in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day, right? Or at least, during working hours when they're going to be there, not the Congress people, but all their office workers, right? And say, if you don't balance the budget, you're done. Like, it's been 30 whatever many years. It's no good. We got to do something. And I think that the American people are wisening up to the fact that we are in charge if we pay attention. And we have to push back and say, you cannot do another continuing resolution. You cannot do another omnibus. You've got to do your job and pass 12 appropriate appropriations bills, not with all the scamming and the fraud and the earmarking and all that shit. It's got to go. Like, quit playing around.
Yep. I mean, look, the power of the people was represented today with Cracker Barrel. To have a corporation flip their new logo after put all that money out, I do hope they change the peg game on the pegboard, since they, changed it. It was too mean. The phrases, if you lost, little peg game, your ignoramus, they took that off with more positive messages.
Oh my God, I'm
I'm
so
not
sick of that
kidding you.
pussy. The pussification of this country has been really sad. Just
So,
really sad.
I sent it to both American Mission and your personal XDM.
How's the government cheese project coming, Chris?
Well,
Bill of Rights.
Oh, I had it on mute. I totally had it on mute. I'm playing it. I'm thinking I'm doing good. All right, hang on. Here we go.
No. If you ask 100 people on the street, what kind of government is America supposed to be? 99% of them will tell you democracy. But that's a lie. The word democracy is not written into the Constitution at one time. It's not in the Bill of Rights. It's not in the Declaration of Independence. The Founding Fathers hated the idea of a democracy. They thought it was the worst form of government there is. And I agree with them. Because in a democracy, 51% of the people control 49% of the people. If you're part of the 49%, you're not free. America was founded as a constitutional republic. And in that constitutional republic that we have, 99% of the people can't take away the rights of 1%. You have your rights because you were born with them, human rights that nobody can take away from you. The government, the majority, no matter who they are, I can't take away your rights. And that's what our founding fathers gave us. But the psychological operations that they do to us, they make us believe that we're a democracy and that majority rules. You see? And they want you to believe that. Because then they tell you this poll says this many want this and this many want that and this many want this. And it doesn't have anything to do with anything. You hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No, democracy equals New World Order. Democracy equals slavery. The word democracy is not synonymous with freedom. It's the opposite of freedom. Democracy is the worst form of government you can have. It's majority rule. And the government can tell you exactly what they want to tell you to do. Because the majority wants it. I don't care what the majority wants. I live my life as I choose. And if I don't commit violence, theft, or fraud against another human being, I can live my life as I wish. That's my choice. And if I'm allowed to make mistakes, because when you make mistakes, you learn from them. You grow as a human being. We're put on this earth to become the best individuals we can be, right? We're not here to put on this earth so the government can tell us how to live our lives and what we must do. We put into these systems and these paradigms. No.
There you go.
Got to play that every week.
Every week. Got to remember. Take no prisoners. We're not messing around anymore.
I mean,
FAFO.
That really is the best summation of what being an American is I think I've ever heard.
I agree. Now, if we could just get all 300 and whatever million of them to listen. Goals. All right, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your evening, and I hope you enjoyed the count. And we're getting close to starting the Federalist Papers and the Anti-Federalist Papers. I think it's September 24th or September 27th. One of those dates. That's when we're going to start because that's when they first published. So we're going to read them in the order they were published at the time they were published in the now.
So that starts with like Federalist 1.
Yeah, exactly. But on the dates they were published. Sorry, that's what I meant. So it says.
What made you think I would enjoy Democratic propaganda?
What? Can I say something?
Yeah, go.
Okay, just one thing. Or, well, one sentence. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to thank all the listeners on Rumble and Pilled and American Mission Live and Substack and the website, whoever joined and listened in. Really appreciate it.
What about QUX?
I got to start that back up.
Okay.
I would have said them if, Now, don't all that
Why are you
fried
messing
face
with
behavior.
Kelly's routine?
Yeah, don't mess with me. Is it 5 enough right now?
We got Substack.
I was just asking. I'm not giving you a hard time. I'm not.
It's always something. I'm just always failing. Just not enough.
Doing a good job.
Yeah. Oh, but what about QUX? Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's why Millie's not here tonight.
Oh, but you said.
That's totally why she's not here. It's all Kelly's fault.
See? Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
Strike.
Kelly, you have been doing a wonderful job keeping our name out there, keeping it up in the little pink little stream bar, because if you go to look for our spaces, they're nowhere to be found. Even if like this space right here, if you go to look under spaces, American Mission is nowhere. Absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, we're pretty hosed.
And I think that it is ridiculous. So you are the sole source of us
keeping our name out there,
our visibility, and I want to thank you very much for.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm gonna cry. Now I feel bad for yelling at you.
He laid it on thick, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. See, now I feel bad about that. First, I feel bad not doing enough. Now I feel bad that I was complaining to you about you saying that, and now I'm a rotten person.
Totally rotten.
Like you said, if you didn't love me, you wouldn't pick on me.
That's right.
You just play that right back at me. Okay, touche.
I'm doing this for Pepe's benefit, not anybody else.
Totally, you are.
I do miss After Dark.
Well, he's busy right now. Oh, Brigadier General JC's on the case.
Okay. God bless you all real good. Adam, hope you
Make sure you shop till you drop. Bundles out there galore.
have a good barbecue and wedding and whatever you're doing. And
I'm here. I'm back. What's up, Chris? I was just bringing this stuff out of the car.
He's all wrapped up.
Yeah, we were saying our goodbyes.
Bye.
God bless y'all real good.